it returns for the 6th round of the 2024 season here at Clay Pigeon. The weather looking wonderful, the riders feeling ready for a weekend of excitement, drama and tension. Hello and welcome back to the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship. As the championships begin to wind down, the action gets hotter. Let's head down to the paddock first though and speak with some of our riders.
Here in the paddock with Emerson Oakley, and Emerson, you've been practicing on your pro bike and getting ready for next season. How is the pro bike for you?
The pro bike is good and it's a lot faster than the rookie, and it's taken me quite a long time to get used to it and the power.
So you're racing on your rookie's bike that you're used to this year. Your highest finish so far, just inside the top 10. Well, you're gonna hope for a podium this weekend at Clay Pigeon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna hope for it because the pro bike's helping me be a lot faster on the rookie. So then we're hoping for a top 3.
So who are you looking to really beat this weekend? Who do you want to get past?
So I want to get past Ethan Bayliss because he's a little bit faster than me, and we've been having quite a lot of battles in the most rounds.
And what's the most fun part of this track?
Well, it's a lot. When you're smooth, it doesn't feel as bumpy, but when you're not smooth, it feels really bumpy.
And tell us a bit more then, for those people who don't know the difference about what it's like, the difference between the rookie and the pro bike for you. How much faster is it? What's the bike like? How does it handle? What's the differences?
So when I first got on the pro bike, I went round slowly, but then I got used to it because when you rev it, it goes in when you rev it, where the rookie, it takes a few seconds to rev before it can go.
All right, well, good luck this weekend, Emerson, and fingers crossed for that first podium.
Thank you.
Here with Sebastian Gazlowski. Hello.
Hello.
So, how's this weekend so far for you here at Clay Pigeon?
I've had a 6th, and I don't know where I was in the last one, but I'm pretty proud of my positions.
So tell us about your season so far then. Are you happy with things? How's it been going?
Yeah, it's been good because I'm on Danny's team and it's really helpful, and I'm just enjoying it, and hopefully I can get some wins.
Yeah, pretty much a factory team here at FAB with Danny Webb and his roster of riders like yourself. So, how much are you learning really from from the start of the season? How much do you think you've improved being with Danny?
Probably about 99% of my career, because he's really helpful and he'll help loads of riders.
So tell us then, Clay Pigeon track, we've not been here for a couple of years. How are you finding it so far this weekend?
It's really good. I like how twisty it is. It's really tiring and fun.
And your competitors, your rivals in this championship then, who are you looking to beat here this weekend?
Taylor, hopefully Frankie and Trav, and I might get Byron.
And of course you're going to give us some amazing celebrations if you do beat them, aren't you?
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, good luck for this weekend at Clay Pigeon, Sebastian, and we'd love to see what you can do.
Thank you.
Oh, it's good to see a returning face in the FAB paddock. It's Taylor Lawrence, and you're looking a bit different, a bit older, a bit more well-travelled, let's say.
Well, some say a bit wiser, but I'm not too sure about that. I'm still a maniac on track, but it's good to be back to see everyone. It's good to see that we're still running good numbers. The pit bike's still competitive. Jamie King's got a bit quicker than last time I remember, but still...
Or has everyone just got a bit slower?
Shh, he's going to be, but no, it's good to have everyone back, but yeah, I'm a bit slower than what I used to be, I think.
Well, to be fair, you've not been here all season and you've been travelling the world and experiencing, let's say, the cultures.
Yeah, the cultures, just been doing a bit of museum touring and stuff, all the good stuff, touristy stuff. But,
So, for those who don't know, you have been a familiar face in the FAB paddock for many years, apart from this year when you've been off because you've been serving king and country and travelling the world. So, we're all proud of you and good to see you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I've been at FAB, I started FAB in 2016. when I was 12, and I've been coming here about won the Pit Bike Championship 2021, and then kind of drifted a bit to go and do training. But I always come back just for the social of it, because everyone don't realise it's more of a social thing. When we're on track, yeah, we're battling, we'll go and give it a oral, but the social side of it, like everyone getting together, all the awnings together, really brings everyone together. It's just a nice vibe in the paddock between the pit bikes and all the other classes.
So you've been watching, keeping up to date somewhat in between the work and stuff from wherever you've been in the world, but keeping up to date with the pit bikes here at FAB. And what have you made of it this season so far?
It's been an interesting season for Chris Wells and Jamie King, obviously the veteran champ and the new champ of, I think, did he get championship last year, or was it 2022 he got a championship? Can't remember, but they're both champions at the end of the day. Chris took the lap record at Rowra not long ago, so big go that he's not here, because I wanted a rematch with him, but yeah, it's what it is. It's been an interesting season. The numbers are not as big as they used to be, but the racing's still good because everyone's more tightly packed. And of course, you got my sister Bailey, who's doing very well as well in her racing. She's a happy-ish I'm here this weekend to give her a bit of a helping hand, but she's doing really well. It's nice to see everyone still getting along and battling like it's a proper Moto3 race, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I suppose, yeah, there's always changes in the numbers on the grid, and it's always good to see returning faces, even if it is just for one round like yourself.
Just one round, but, you know, it's good to just always come and go, remember where you come from and have a good laugh, because at the end of the day, I'm not here for a championship, I'm just here to have a good time, get some lap records and hopefully win, to be fair.
So for those who might not know, to spot you on track, you are wearing the brightest green leathers and the most distinctive helmet as well. Tell us more.
I've got the, usually for Fridays, I always run the Cookie Monster helmet, so it's got the big eyes on top, which is actually just sat there, you won't be able to see it, but it's got the Cookie Monster helmet, just on well seen, so people can't, if they turn into me, they can't moan, I didn't see you, because, oh, here we go. Beautiful. There he is. Good little helmet, good bright green leather, so I'm always seen on track, and it's easy to spot where I am and what I'm doing, which is a bit annoying because everyone knows you to get a toe off sometimes, so.
And we'll see that in the race as well, will we?
I don't know if we'll see it in the race, because I'm not going to lie to you, it's boiling in this thing. It's absolutely blimmin' boiling. But I'll give it a good shot to try and wear it for you, but I think after today this is coming off, to be honest with you.
Well, it is fantastic to see you back, Taylor. Good luck, and yeah, we'll love to see what you can do.
Yeah, thank you, and I'll see you around the paddock. Have fun.
We are here in the paddock with Freddy Taylor from the Rookies class. Freddy, tell us about this weekend, Clay Pigeon. Is it a track that you've been to before?
No, it's my first time.
First time, and how are you finding it so far this weekend?
Really good. In the first couple of sessions I was doing 52s and 51s and 50s, and I came fifth.
Fifth, and well, talk us through your season then. How's it been going so far this year for you?
Really good.
Yeah. So, what are your highlights? What was your best result so far this year? Sixth place, and where was that?
Rowra.
So, who are you looking to beat this weekend here at Clay Pigeon?
Hopefully, Finley Styles and Joey Avicic.
They're the quick ones, are they? The ones that you've got in your targets?
And Austin Dilks, because they're all mainly my targets.
Okay, so tell us about your bike and the team. What's the bike like? Is it, how much fun is it around here on this track?
Really good, I love it, this track.
Yeah, okay. And have you got any minimum targets for this weekend? So are you aiming for the podium or top 10?
Hopefully top 3. Or maybe a top 5, and that's what I hopefully want to get.
Okay, well, good luck, Freddy. We'll see whether you can do that, and if you do, I'm sure you'll give us a wonderful celebration on the cool-down lap.
Thank you.
And we're here with Pit Bike Sonic. It is the returning champion, or champion to be maybe this year, Jamie King. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's great to be back at Clay Pigeon. It's been a few years since we've been last here, so yeah, it's nice to be back. This morning's gone quite well. We've done a lot of changes today. I don't think we've gone out on a setting twice today, so we're just having a good play about. And it's good to see the pit bike grids back in some bigger numbers, which has been struggling recently, so that's been really good.
Yeah, a lot home talent, Clay Pigeon's usual riders, I think. They're club racing people, which adds a bit more spice, a bit more homegrown knowledge. But this round, Clay Pigeon, there's apparently no Chris Wells here to get in your way. However, there is a certain Taylor Lawrence, and he's back fighting fit and ready to take you down.
Yeah, it's great to have Taylor back. Obviously, he's a good part of our group, but the rumours had it that Chris is making his way here tonight, so could be a good three-way battle for the lead tomorrow. So.
Like old times.
It will be. We just need to get Lucas here, but unfortunately I've heard he's made quite a mess of his pit bike, and he has been rather busy recently with the British Talent Cup, because they've had 2 race meetings in 2 weekends, so...
Yeah, we'll let him off.
Yeah, we let him off for that, but it's nearly like old times. If we could get Reece Peacock back and Rossi Banham, it would be like full old times, but it's good to see some old faces back.
Yeah, absolutely, and some new faces as well, maybe to ruffle the feathers up at the top of the pit bike championship here at FAB-Racing. So tell us about your life in general for you. Pit Bike Sonic still going well, the YouTube channel, all the royalties rolling in from that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of money being earned from it, so yeah, the YouTube channel's going well, subscribers are slowly going up, but I run the Rookies Championship here at FAB for the pit bikes as well. It's not an official championship, I run it for new people who want to come into the sport, because it is really hard for people to come into pit bike racing, and they do get a bit downhearted. They're not at the front straight away, so if you run a Rookies Championship, it gives them something to fight for, and then hopefully they're going to be quicker and battling with the likes of me, Chris and Taylor at the front once they've done their year in the rookie class. So I really advise people to come give it a go.
And of course, you do get the best exposure, live streaming from the best media crew in the business at this level, motorsport media. But for those who do want to get involved, those who maybe, I don't know, let's say at BMB, who might want to do a bit more racing, how can they get involved?
Best thing to do is get in contact with me, either me on my own Pit Bike Sonic page, or give a message on the Facebook page. I'm the person who looks after the FAB Facebook stuff, so if you message the FAB page, you're probably going to come through to me, unless Roger or Rob gets there before me. So yeah, but best thing, give me a message. I can give you all the details on where you can find the schedule, how to enter and things like that. But yeah, worth giving it a go. I believe you get 3 races at FAB, where you only get 2 at B&B, so more for your money.
Excellent. On that note, we'll say, Jamie, thank you and good luck. We'll love to see those 3 wins rolling in.
Hopefully it'll be very nice. Here or Ella would be brilliant.
And we're here with Brad Curtis here at Clay Pigeon. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. I've had some good sessions this morning. I'm just my dad's on changing the gearing now, so it's not really working, but I'm doing quite well. I'm sticking with the front runners, so...
Well, that's good. And you've already had a podium this year so far in the 50s. So tell us, how's your season been so far?
It's been quite well. I've been on the podium. It is my first year, so yeah, I've been doing quite well. I'm happy. I will try and get top 3, but everyone's really quitting the 50s, so...
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? So who's your main rival, who you desperately want to get past this weekend at Clay Pigeon?
Byron Johnson and Frankie Watson and Travis Shaw.
Yeah, they are the quick ones at the moment, but you'll be looking to change that?
Yeah, I've been trying to taunt at Byron today, but he's sort of pulled away from us, so I'm going to try and do it in the next session.
So do the other riders help you out, tell you like where they're quick? Do they give you any information?
Not really. Byron does, but...
so it's good of him to let you know how to go fast, where he's going fast as well. So how are you finding this Clay Pigeon track? We've not been here for a couple of years, have we?
It was my first year here, 2021 in the wet, and I got my first ever podium. So yeah, it's been quite a long time since I've done it though, but I'm hoping to do well, yeah.
So any minimum targets, maybe another podium for you this weekend? Is that what you're aiming for?
Yeah, I'm finding it quite hard though, because this year there hasn't been like quite a lot of technical tracks, so there has been Rara, but that's mostly the hairpins.
Is this quite a technical track, Clay Pigeon?
Yeah, it's like you'll be at the front if you can get the bike on its side. It's hard because you obviously have gears, and I can only change the gears when I'm like the bike's up straight. So yeah, it's hard.
All right, well, we'll love to see what you can do. 3 races coming up for you, Bradley, and well, good luck.
Thank you.
and we found Adabelle McCarthy. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good to see you here. And, we've been following your progress all season. And, how has the season in FAB been for you?
It's all right. I'm just at FAB just to have a little bit of a practice, really, because B&B is what I'm mostly focusing on because I'm in the FAM Cup in the 190s and stuff like that.
And, you're very busy, obviously, doing a lot of championships and getting quite a lot of exposure as well on various live streams. So here at Clay Pigeon, we've not been back here for a couple of years now. So how are you finding Clay Pigeon? What's it like on this O'Reilly for you?
It's all right. I definitely prefer Clay Pigeon on the minis because it was a nice track on the minis. I definitely know I had some successful times here on the minis, but with the bigger bikes, I feel like it's a lot more difficult, especially how it's stop, start, but you just got to get used to it. At this point, a track's a track and a bike's a bike. You just got to race it how it is.
Okay. And, tell us how this bike is around here then.
It's all right. It's definitely really punchy. You got to control it a bit, but it's nice. It's a nice bike for this track.
So what are you aiming for this weekend, apart from just having fun, of course? Any minimum targets for you this weekend?
Bring it back in one piece. Probably to come top 5 and just have fun, really.
Yeah. And who's looking quick this weekend at Clay Pigeon? The usual suspects or anyone that we should watch out for, other than yourself, of course?
Just the usual people. They're looking really fast, to be fair.
Okay. And we're talking, I suppose there's not many rounds to go left in 2024 in both championships. So looking ahead to next season, where will you be? What will we see you doing next?
I think next season I'm probably going to be doing a bit of free tack and B&B as well, mostly focusing on B&B because I'm with the 190. But that's really it. I think I might do a couple of FAB rounds, the ones that B&B's go into, but FAB's doing before. I'll probably do that just to have a little bit of practice and a spin around, really.
Okay. And sponsorship always vitally important for stepping up in various championships. And, you've already got a lot of support already.
Yeah, if it wasn't for my sponsors, I don't think I'll be able to do half as much as what I'm doing this year. So I am quite thankful for them, especially my main sponsors as well.
Yeah. And anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just shout out to my sponsors that have helped me throughout the season, giving me stuff like brake clean and stuff like that, and others give me money in order for me to do FAB-Racing, B&B and a bit of free tech as well.
Oh, that's very generous of them. So for those who might want to know a bit more about yourself, follow your progress through the season. Are you on social media? How can people follow you?
I've got Instagram, Facebook, and my dad's got a TikTok account, so stuff like that, really.
Yeah. And what you like? Do we just put your name in on social media?
If you just put my name in and then my race number, it should come up with my feed and stuff like that.
All right. Well, it's fantastic to see you racing back here, having a bit of fun, and preparing yourself for the future, wherever that should take you, maybe from next year onwards, potentially. So good to see you racing, and good to see what you can do this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
We're here with Matthew Thomas, who's racing in the 70 class here at Clay Pigeon. How are you doing?
Good. So far it's been going amazing. That session I just got down second faster than my old times.
We're speaking on the Friday during free practice, and you and everyone else in the class just seeing how you're doing, because we've not been here for a couple of years racing here at FAB. So how's the bike and how's this track today?
I thought it was going to be wet because it was pouring down rain at midnight, but it dried up quickly. It was a little bit of spots of wetness, but nothing much, so it should be fine for the rest of the weekend.
You feeling confident?
Yes.
Okay. Who's your ones that you really want to beat this weekend?
Probably Travis and Frankie.
And where are they strong then? Where do you think you can beat them on this small Clay Pigeon track?
Probably their braking and the hairpin.
And looking at your season overall, we've only got one round after Clay Pigeon here at FAB. You've had a bit of an up and down season with some mischief with your bike getting stolen. You might have seen on social media, we've been following that as well. You've been getting a lot of support from grassroots to Grand Prix as well. So your season overall this year, how are you finding it? How's it been?
Like you said, a bit up and down, but hopefully it changes today.
So you're really motivated for this Clay Pigeon round, and what do you think you can do?
And probably get top 5.
Top 5. I think you've already let us into a little bit of a secret about where you might be a bit strong. We'll pretend that never happened though. But where is your best parts of this Clay Pigeon track?
Probably the exit of the final corner.
Yeah. Why?
Because I can get a drive on earlier and people just go up wide.
So you're going to put on some exciting racing for us in these 3 races this weekend?
Yes.
Excellent, that's what we like to hear. Matthew, good luck, and we'll love to see what you can do.
Thank you.
We are here with Austin Johnson. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you here. And, you've been racing quite a few different things lately as you've been growing and developing. You've been doing a bit of supermoto, a bit of motocross, and you're back with FAB on a new bike. Yeah,
so I've just got a new Ovale. We've picked it up on Wednesday, and I'm just running it in at the moment, so it should be good for tomorrow and Sunday.
So what's it like on this track, on that bike?
Well, it's my first time riding actually like a bigger bike on this track, but I'm feeling it, and it's feeling really nice. Yeah.
So there was a memorable moment a couple of years ago with you and your brother, I think, down at turn number 2, where there was a bit of an incident which we captured. None of that this year, because I don't think you're racing in the same class, are you?
Yeah, not this year. I rode up on the curb and then it didn't turn out very well.
Yeah. Well, it looked spectacular on TV, and we've still got the footage. Don't worry about that. But you've been doing quite a lot of other stuff. As I said, a bit of supermoto and a bit of motocross. So why come back to FAB? If presumably it's a lot more fun, I'm guessing.
Well, FAB's my roots. Yeah. It's just I love it at FAB. There's nice people. It's good to ride.
And good TV coverage as well.
Yeah.
That's good. So Ovale then for this weekend. Brand new Ovale as well, number 27. The nicely, what is that, like Valentino Rossi inspired livery, is it?
Brand new, just how it come.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, it looks pretty nice, and you're going to keep it nice and shiny as well, aren't you?
I'll try my hardest.
So what can you do then for this weekend on these on this brand new bike?
Well, we'll see, won't we?
So for those who don't know, you'll be racing in the in the Dan Goodman's leathers as well, who's caused a little bit of confusion with our commentators last time, because Sullivan Mounsey also raced in Dan Goodman's other leathers, and he was credited with racing, but it was actually Sullivan Mounsey. So we're going to, when we know Dan Goodman's leathers, we're going to obviously know it is you, Austin. So how much fun do you have around this Clay Pigeon track?
Well, this is actually the first track I ever rode at as well, so I really enjoy riding this track.
And how old are you now, by the way?
I'm 13.
13. Seems like we've known you for many. Well, we have known you for many years. So we kind of grow up watching you and Byron together racing.
5 years now I've been riding at FAB.
Yeah. So the future then, have you got plans? What are you looking to do for 2025?
I'm not too sure. In a really ideal world, I would love to go to BTC, but we got to wait for Byron, so I'm not too sure. Maybe stay here, maybe go to do some FIM or do like switch through championships, but I'm not too sure.
Well, it'll be great to see you in Talent Cup, in the British Talent Cup at some point in the future, maybe even with your brother as well, maybe in the same team together.
Yeah, maybe racing together again.
Well, that'll be good. I don't think there's been any brother pairings in the British Talent Cup so far, I don't think, racing at the same time.
Yeah, well, we can change that, can't we?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, good to catch up with you. Austin, good to see what you can do on this new bike, which you will definitely keep clean and not crash.
Definitely. I'll try my hardest anyway. Thanks.
Byron Johnson, the newest winner of the MKGP 70s in FAB-Racing. It was fantastic to see you getting that first win last time out at Rowra.
Thank you.
How did you do it? Talk us through your season so far then. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been hard through the 70s because it's my first year, but I think it's been all right.
Yeah, it's been all right. You could say that. Yeah, it's pretty good. You're doing all right in the 50s as well. Tell us more.
I'm doing good in the 50s because I'm leading it, but I reckon it will come down to like a close finish overall. But I reckon I could have it. It'd be good if I could, though.
Yeah. We often see you quite determined and close battling as well on track. We love to see that sort of stuff, especially on camera, because it provides a lot of excitement. So what does it feel like when you're actually out on track, especially at Rowra? Because that was, I think, for us anyway, that looked like one of your best weekends.
You just wanna do your best, so you can get the best results and finish as good as you could be.
And who's the biggest competitors in the 70 championship? Because you're not far off the lead.
This weekend, I reckon it's going to be Archie, Wilson, and Travis, maybe Frankie.
So are people now looking towards you and thinking about you as a serious title contender, maybe?
I'm not sure. Hopefully.
Well, that smile on your face makes me think that you kind of enjoy battling up front and being in the lead pack as well. So, yeah, it was fantastic to see you win your first race. Did you think you'd be winning it this early?
No. No chance, no.
So, looking ahead then to the rest of the season, we've got Clay Pigeon. Tell us about this track here, because we've not been here for a couple of years, and last time we were here, I think it was 22, and did we see in that year you and Austin having a little tangle down in turn 2?
Yeah.
Iconic moment that we'll put on screen for you shortly, but yeah, we'll move away from that because you're no longer racing together on track. But Clay Pigeon, what's this like? Is it one of your favourites?
I don't know what I think of it. I've not ridden it too much though, but it is a fast sweeping track, so I quite like it.
Yeah. And looking ahead to the future then, maybe after this season, let's say 2025, what are you going to be doing?
I'm not sure, but maybe the 70s and extremes, 200s, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. And long term, where would you like to be racing in a few years' time?
Probably BTC.
Yeah. BTC and maybe like Redbull Rookies and on the road to MotoGP as we are now already?
Yeah.
And well, you mentioned it there, BTC. Who do you look up to? Who's your inspirations in racing?
Valentino Rossi and Marquez are the main, but yeah.
So out of those two, who do you feel like your riding style is more like? Or have you got your own riding style? Are you not really like anyone else?
I don't know. This year I have been working on it because last year was a bit iffy, but yeah. I don't know who I look up to with the riding style.
Well, that's good to be more of an individual. We see you maybe racing some other categories as well away from FAB-Racing. We know your brother Austin does a bit of supermoto and motocross, and you're kind of following in his footsteps somewhat.
Yeah, we've both been doing a bit of motocross and Norrisport, but I've been looking this year to hopefully do a bit more Norrisport and get some better results in it.
And looking ahead to this weekend, Clay Pigeon, we've got 3 races ahead this weekend. What are you going to do?
Hopefully win it.
All 3?
Hopefully.
Wow, well, okay, well, let's see what the others have to say about that. So, Byron, good to chat to you. Congratulations for your first race win in the 70s last time out, and let's hopefully, fingers crossed, hope for more.
Yeah, thank you.
And we are here with Henry Brody. How are you doing?
Really good. I'm 6th in the standings, a few points behind 5th, and I'm doing good. And I'm trying to get 5th at the end of the season. And I have crashed from 3rd in the wet Ella, but at least I finished top 6 because I crashed and went 6th still. So it's good then. And then we went to Three Sisters, had a good weekend. We went 4th. And We went 4th place in the last race for the pros. We were so close to the podium, but we just couldn't get it. And now we're here at Clay Pigeon.
So tell us about Clay Pigeon then. What's this track like? How are you finding it? Are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it really well. It's a tight track a bit, not many straights, and last year I had a massive high side here at the last corner. But I'm fine from that, and I've learned from my mistakes, and I've gone fast each time now.
And what are you hoping to achieve this weekend here at Clay Pigeon?
We can try and get a podium, and just try and get some top 5s and try to qualify better, because I normally qualify 8th, and I want to qualify better than 8th this time.
Okay, well, good luck on the qualification and the 3 races here at Clay Pigeon. Henry, good luck. We'll love to see what you can do.
Thank you, and I want to thank all my personal sponsors for all the money what they gave us to go here at all the rounds.
Fantastic stuff. How can people follow your racing progress? Do you have a pages on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and I have more followers than some races in BSB. And I don't know how, but it's just how many followers I got.
Well, maybe it's because people like watching you race and seeing what you can do.
Yeah, probably. I think they like watching me race, and lots of people are coming over this weekend.
A lot of your fans?
Like, lots of people who I know, and some of my cousins probably too.
And what do your friends and schoolmates make of you racing, and your teachers? What do they think?
When I get like a podium, I show them my medals, and if I got an overall trophy, I show them that too. And I show them lots of stuff, and I showed them last year lots of pictures, so they kind of know I'm the only racer in the school.
Well, that's fantastic that you've got lots of supporters, and more supporters than some BSB riders, which we didn't know about, Henry. So, well done. Congratulations so far, and we'll love to see you on the podium this weekend, maybe. So we're here with Pro and Elite rider. It's Tommy Keats. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, it's good to see you here at Clay Pigeon. How are you finding it? We're talking on the Friday. You've had a couple of test sessions, practice sessions already. What's this track like?
Fast and flowing.
What's your favourite part of it?
Probably the corner down at the bottom.
All right, and tell us about your season so far then, Tommy. How's things been going for you? What's your best result so far?
So my best result in the Elites is a 3rd, and the best result in my pro race was a 5th. And at the start of the season, I'd done the rookies, and then from LR onwards, I'd done the pros and elite classes.
And when's the first win coming?
Hopefully this year or next year.
Yeah, okay. And looking ahead to next year, we've only got one round left after Clay Pigeon in FAB. What are you going to be doing next year?
I'm going to be doing the test rides on the Metrokit 50s, and then I'm just going to do the elites instead of the pros.
And how much fun is riding in the elites?
A lot.
So who are you looking to beat this weekend here at Clay Pigeon?
Well, hopefully my brother. And yeah, hoping to come at least top 7s.
And tell us how competitive it gets between you and your brother in this on track.
Quite a lot.
Yeah. What sort of things do you say to each other before a race?
Well, obviously we like good luck to each other, and yeah, and like when we're on track, just ride the bike.
And then hopefully no crashing between each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, Tommy, it'll be good to see what you can do, and we'd love to see that first win whenever that happens.
Thank you.
And we're here with Tommy's brother, Maxwell. How are you doing?
Good.
So, yeah, we're here at Clay Pigeon, and, your brother Tommy was just telling us how competitive you both are on track with each other.
Yeah, I try to get past him all the time. And yeah.
So, tell us about your season so far. What do you think of it? How's it going? Have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, it's been really joyful and, yeah.
What's your most favourite round so far?
I like Rivalry. Rivalry was a good circuit. Also, Ella Park was good, and this circuit is quite a good circuit as well.
So what's fun about Clay Pigeon? What do you like best?
It's a fast track, and yeah.
So what's going to happen this weekend? We're all dying to see you on track. So what sort of things can you do for us in front on camera?
Hopefully try and get at least top 7. Yeah.
That's very specific.
Yeah.
Well, top 7. We'll watch out to see if you can do it. And if you do achieve a top 7, even maybe a top 6, are you going to do a great celebration for us?
I'll try and do a great celebration.
Good. Just make sure you don't fall off when you're celebrating.
I'll try not to.
Okay. Well, good luck. We'll love to see you get in that top 7.
Thank you.
So we're here with Daisy Grayson. Daisy, it's good to see you here racing at Clay Pigeon. Tell us about your weekend so far.
But it's gone really well. It's my first time here, so I'm aiming for top 10 on my race because it's really good for me because I'm a girl who likes tight and twister, and it's really good for me.
So yeah, you've been with Fab for a number of races already, and you've been doing the season. It's been great to follow your progress in the rookies. What's this class like then? Tell us about how much fun you're having this year.
I'm having really fun because it's an easier group, so I can get quicker and learn how to overtake more people.
And, someone told me maybe that... what do you do outside of racing? Do you have any other hobbies and activities?
My other hobbies are, like, helping my dad fix my bike if I've crashed, or just checking everything's okay with it.
Yeah. So you're fully into racing, and how much do you love racing at the moment?
I like it a lot, but I've been in Fab quite a while now, and the tracks in Fab are really good.
Well, it is great to see you racing. Daisy, have you got any minimum targets that you want to achieve this weekend? Who do you want to really beat?
I'm aiming to beat Logan Paisley.
Yeah, why?
Because me and him are friends, and me and him always battle in races.
Right, okay, so there's a bit of rivalry there, a bit of competition. Okay, that'll be good to see. Looking ahead then, Clay Pigeon, how much fun is this track on your bike? What do you like best about it?
I like best is how good the corners are and how long some courses are, because they suit me very well.
And for those who maybe don't know about you, Daisy, for those who maybe just see you racing on track and fighting with Logan and others, so tell us then about yourself then. You told us about your hobbies and interests. What about your heroes? Who do you like in motorcycle racing?
I don't really know because I don't really watch other people. All I do is watch my dad.
Oh, well, that's nice to have your father as inspiration, maybe. So, and what about the future? Where do you see yourself maybe in a few years' time? Maybe in BSB or MotoGP?
I'm aiming for BSB.
I'm sure you can do it, Daisy. Until then, it'll be fantastic to see you fighting up at the front and having lots of fun.
Thank you.
Harris Watson racing in the 50s and 70s this weekend at Clay Pigeon here at FAB-Racing. It's good to see you racing and doing both championships this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really excited as it'll be my first time racing the 70.
It's the multicolours, the Rothmans liveried inspired bike that we often see on the live stream. It really stands out. It is one of the ones to watch. It's certainly one of the prettiest bikes anyway. It's where did that inspiration come from?
I wanted to go like an old style with my motorbike, and I thought that colour scheme looked cool.
It definitely does. Yeah, and you're racing in your 70s as well, which is the grey coloured bike, is that right?
Yeah, I'm excited to ride it. I only got it like a couple weeks ago, and I've went a couple practice days at some tracks, but I've not really had too much experience on it.
All right, so far in 2024 then, tell us about your season. How's it been going for you, and how much have you enjoyed racing here at FAB?
Yeah, it's my first year at FAB, so and I'm looking for top 10 in the championship, and I think that I'm estimated to get top 10, and yeah.
Okay, and tell us about Clay Pigeon as well. How much do you enjoy this track? What's good about it?
I like this track because it's really technical, and I have to work hard for it, and it's like a smooth left and right track.
Okay, minimum targets for you this weekend. What can we see you doing? Maybe a podium? Is that out of the question?
Yeah, that is, but probably top 12 in this race.
Maybe even a top 10, let's say that. Aim high.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't think I'll get a top 10 on the 70. Probably 14th place on the 70, but I might come top 10 on the 50.
All right, well, it'll be great to see what you can do and what sort of a show you can put on in front of everyone for the live stream.
Yep.
All right. Harris, thank you very much for chatting to us.
Thank you.
And we're here with a racing brothers here. It's Riley and Logan Paisley. Starting off, we'll have a chat with you first then, Riley. You're racing in the 50s and 70s this weekend here at Clay Pigeon. So tell us about your season so far. How's that been going for you?
Well, I've had a good start to the season, and then at Three Sisters I had a big off and broke my lower leg. So I struggled then, and then I got back on the bike last round, and I've been strong.
And Clay Pigeon, so you're back on the bike now, obviously, and it is one of the most distinctive bikes that stands out, certainly. It's a nice green livery. And how is this Clay Pigeon for you? Have you been out on practice so far, and how much fun is it around here?
It's quite bumpy, but it's like a really nice layout. You can flick the bike left and right, and it's like a fast circuit.
So what are your aims? What are your goals? What are you going to achieve this weekend?
I'd like a top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah.
And who's the person you most want to beat this weekend?
I want to be battling with like Brad Curtis and yeah.
Okay, well, it would be good to see you. And I did mention at the start as well, you're also a brother to Logan as well. And Logan, you're racing in the Rookies this year. Yeah, just tell us about your season then. How's that going for you?
Really good.
So what about your favourite tracks this? How's Clay Pigeon so far for you?
Good.
So how much fun is it around here on your Rookies bike?
It's bumpy.
And do you struggle with that? Because, I mean, you're not very physical. Do you have to be very sort of big and physical?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your best result so far this year then?
It's been a 12.
And where was that? What happened?
Rowra.
Oh, Rowra. Okay, so yeah, the race just gone. Talking about your heroes in racing, obviously you're probably going to say it's your brother. You look up to him, and he's your superhero. But who do you most want to be like in racing?
Benny Grayson.
Benny Grayson. Why is that?
Because he's very fast.
He is, isn't it? Okay, so, what can you do this weekend in the Rookies? So what are you going to put on a show for us this weekend?
Top 10.
Top 10. That'll be good to see. So, it'll be good to see you both. And, just one final question with Riley. Same question for you as well, really. For those who maybe don't know, who might have just watched you on the live stream, tell us a bit about what you do outside of racing. Who are your heroes? Do you have any hobbies, that sort of thing?
Well, I quite like football. I've got a lot of heroes in like the BSB paddock. I've got Sam Laffins and Ben Grayson, and my dad's company sponsors both of them, so like they're like teammates. So yeah.
And are you any good at football?
I'm okay, yeah.
You're okay, sounds very modest, okay. Are you better at racing or football?
Racing.
Well, we'll love to see you getting and beating all your opponents this weekend, and to see what your brother can do as well. Both, thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to 2024 of FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. We're moving along in the season now quite well, making good progress. We're here down in Dorset to Clay Pigeon, a rider's favourite, a very fast-flowing, fun circuit for these young riders to take to, and the penultimate round of 2024 already. It should be absolutely fantastic. We've got 30 bits of racing action to take to across 10 categories this weekend, the first of which will be taking place today on Saturday. My name is Zach Sweeney. Alongside me in the Motorsport Media commentary box is the one, the only, the Mr. Ross McIntyre. What are we expecting coming into round 6?
Oh, well, I think we can expect drama, tension, and just great racing. Hello and welcome if you are just joining us. As you said, Zach, round 6, of course, that double round a few weeks ago at Rowra came into that round not even at the halfway point of the season, and now at the penultimate round, the year is flying by. But what a track to come to here at Clay Pigeon, one of the oldest karting circuits in the UK, built all the way back in 1959. The likes of Jenson Button and Lando Norris getting their starts here in karting. Maybe we've got some World Championship material on the grid here today, albeit on 2 wheels and not on 4. But there's just a good feeling about this weekend, isn't there? We've had a few weeks off to watch the Olympics, and of course this weekend, we've got the football back on. There's MotoGP off in Austria, and of course FAB-Racing's here as well. So it's all good vibes. We're all very, very excited. First time back at Clay Pigeon since 2022 as well, so a year break for the riders. Some of them will be their first time here, so plenty to experience, but it's a very, very fast track, but very narrow. Track position here is going to be key.
It very much is. We were talking to Archie O'Brien just before the broadcast, and he was saying that it is going to be probably one of the most important circuits to maintain track position. So we are rounding off qualifying just now. You'll see there some of the Mini F1 sidecar riders getting ready to jump onto the circuit. And again, it is probably going to be one of the most important qualifying sessions of the season. The shortest circuit as well of the season here at Clay Pigeon, of course, only 815 metres long. Compare that to the vast majority of the other circuits we take to, the likes of Lydd, Ella Park, Three Sisters and Rowra, which are all in essence exceeding 1 kilometre in length. So it's the shortest, it's one of the narrowest, but it is also one of the more flowing, fluid circuits that a lot of these riders really like to take to. So while it is going to be a challenge, I think it's going to be a very welcome one.
Most lap times we'll be seeing around here for the faster bikes, we're looking at the high 30-second lap times, edging into the low 40s for the slower bikes, and especially looking at the mini motors as well. They're looking more towards the 50-second lap, so it is very, very quick around here. An opportunity to do lots and lots of laps, though. That's the thing, and obviously the advantage of being a short circuit, you don't have a lot to have to remember, unlike places like Ella Park, for example, where there's lots of different sections, lots of different methods and styles you have to use to work your way through. Here, it's all very, very similar, all very fast, all very flowing, all very fun. If you are just joining us, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and all that to the stream here at the FAB Racing channel. It really helps us out, and of course, it means that you get these guys' names out on the maps. There we just see some of the Mini F1 sidecar guys ready to come out for their second qualifying session. If this is your first time watching FAB Racing, well, what a time to come and start watching it at the penultimate round of the season where, and well, of course we'll touch in this minute, championships can be decided this weekend. Of course, we are on the road to MotoGP. We are a gateway into British Superbikes. We've had riders from FAB Racing go all over the world into MotoGP, WSBK, BSB, and all of the likes of Scott Ogden up at the moment, riding in the World Championships up in Moto 3. And, well, it is the place to start a young rider's motorcycle career. But, of course, we do have some older riders as well in the paddock. They're, though, one of our younger riders watching along in our qualifying sessions. As always, a bumper crowd here at FAB Racing. But back to those championships that I mentioned a moment ago, Zach. Of course, a double round last time at Rara, as I said, completely upheaved almost a lot of what was happening in the championship picture, because some people maybe had off weekends, some people had very, very strong weekends, and because there were 6 races instead of 3 at the same track, that could really make or break your title hopes. And we've seen a lot of things change about as well. We've seen a lot of championships that could be wrapped up this weekend.
Yeah, very much so. One of which we'll touch on when it gets to, but essentially one of the riders only needs to start the race to complete the championship. Of course, in what has been a fantastic 2024 campaign for Wilson Dilks, but of course he's racing in 2 categories, so he's got both of them to worry about, the Extreme 200s and of course the LS2 helmets at Mini GP 70 races. Of course, if you are just tuning in, don't worry, you've not missed anything at all. In fact, I'd probably say you're right on time to join us in the commentary box to complete the final 2 qualifiers of Saturday of FAB Racing before we move into our first races of the weekend. Each of our 10 classes get themselves 3. I've got to say, Ross, it's weird only having 3 races this weekend off the back of Rara. I've got to be honest. I mean, Rara was an anomaly in the sense that it is the only round that's like that. But 1 weekend up in Cumbria, and it's the norm. It just feels normal. So to come back to only 3 races, I'm sure some of the riders that are racing in 2 categories are going to have a very welcome, chill weekend.
Strange things happen up in the Lake District.
What happens in Cumbria stays in Cumbria. Yeah.
Absolutely. But of course, back down south, back to our normal format of 3 races per category for the weekend, and of course back down south where much of the championship is largely based. A lot of the riders coming from the south of the UK, so we are expecting to see higher grid numbers than we saw at the double round of Rara as well. And of course, because we're now not racing on a Monday as well, so people don't have to try and struggle to get time booked off work and all of that. So it looks like that qualifying 2 for Moto team. Just wrapping up, Will Houth with the fastest time there, 43.194. Harrison O'Keefe second overall and the fastest in the standard class. But as the Mini F1 sidecars head out onto the track, well, what a weekend it was at Rara for these guys. I mean, we talked about championships being flipped on the head in that double round. This was probably the biggest one. We saw a weekend where the whole picture was changed. We had a new race winner in the number 44 outfit. Of course, we saw the championship leader, the Green Streets, having, by their standards, a very, very off weekend. Only 1 win, and the rest all in P2, while Mick Williams picked up the most of the spoils, 4 wins and 2 second places. And all of them were very, very hard fought for as well. So this is one that's you got to keep your eye on, because suddenly now, while for years and years we've been watching the battles between the 26 of Mick Williams and the 90 of the Green Street, suddenly that number 44, Nick and Danny Lee, is right up there with them. Yeah, very much so, especially over sort of the last couple of weekends. They've really been smashing it in terms of just hammering in some good results, and you'll see there in some quite nice picturesque riding from them. You have got them in sequence, not quite in championship order, but in sequence, top 3 in the championship, riding together around Clay Pigeon. Of course, quick update as to the sort of how we have it in terms of the standings. It is the Green Streets, the number 90, that are 26 points ahead, get this, of the 26 of Mick Williams in P2. Of course, Jamie Alexander and Isaac Greenstreet, they're P3 in the championship, but they are tied for 3rd place with, of course, Mick and Danny Lee in 4th. So that 44 is going to be looking to get some good results and maybe get themselves up into P3 in the championship, thanks to that fantastic last week at Rara and really hammering in some strong results, really giving the top 2 pretty much tyrants of this championship a run for their money over the last couple of weekends, which has really put them in good stead. Hopefully coming into this weekend it's going to be equally as competitive, because
there is a championship on the line, and there are only 6 races left of the season to decide it.
Absolutely, but that 44 machine has catapulted themselves into this championship picture. Of course, they did miss the first 2 rounds at Lyd and Ella Park. Overall 5 races they lost out on after we unfortunately had to cancel the last race at Lyd as we continue in this qualifying session. But if you look at it on paper, it's been very, very strong results. They've had podium finishes in every single race so far, the 44. That being said, the round prior to the doubleheader round at Three Sisters, while they were on the podium, it wasn't anything majorly spectacular. They were there, but they were more the front of the midfield rather than, hounding the front runners. Then suddenly we get to Rower and the whole thing's flipped on its head. They're challenging for race wins. They're getting race wins. The 44 kind of very, very suddenly are almost in this championship picture, and this could be a very, very big weekend for them. But a circuit like Clay Pigeon, immediately my mind's got to think this is a track that should be right up that number 26 of Nick Williams' alley. Lots of fast flowing corners, not many huge acceleration zones which out of corners, which will really help his 2-stroke motor, which is often the big debate between that 2-stroke of the 26 and the 4-stroke engine of the number 90 of the Green Streets. And it's all about momentum, and it's all about just keeping that bike, just pushing it and just keeping that momentum up, keeping that speed up. This is when Williams should feel right at home. I have a feeling going into this one, this is his weekend to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely will be the favourite, not only because Mick Williams likes to do Mick William things in terms of magic on that sidecar, but also, like you say, because Clay Pigeon is just one of those circuits where it is just all about having that momentum flowing really well and just taking each corner as they come, trying to keep that minimum speed up. Not like there's many heavy braking zones that you have to get the bike stopped and then pitched in and then accelerate out. It is just a case of how long can you keep that throttle open for and keep it pinned, particularly obviously through turn 1. A couple of discussions we've had with some riders, are they brave enough to keep it pinned? And again, it is just a case of how courageous you are, how much speed you can take, and how well you can pitch yourself up around each of these corners, and that is exactly going to play to the strength of the 26. At the moment in qualifying, they are the ones setting the benchmark, but not by much. The top 3 in qualifying separated by just 2.5 tenths of a second, a 44.9 apiece for both Mick Williams and the Green Streets. Mick Lee only a tenth and a half back on a 45.1, so it is incredibly competitive, and they've still got 6.5 minutes left to run it, so all is open really for qualifying, and it's such an important one, like we touched on in terms of track position, how much track position is going to matter around here, and also, like it has been the entire season, qualifying dictates the entire round's worth of grids, so you have to nail it.
But of course, 2 qualifying sessions in this weekend, or this afternoon should I say. We've already had one this morning, and the lap time is your best lap time from both of those sessions. That decides where you start on the grid, so you can have a stinker of a qualifying session, still come back out for the later one, absolutely nail it and set the fastest lap time by a country mile, and you can still be out there on pole position. So got to consider as well, how do the conditions change as well? It's very, very warm this weekend at Clay Pigeon. And again, that's something we have to wonder about as well. It's a track that loves to chew up tyres, especially if you're one of those riders that can maybe just push it a little bit further. One of those riders maybe on the MetroKit MiniGP bikes that can take it flat through the first turn, that left-hand kink before Billy's Bend. It's going to cause havoc for your tyres. So it might be faster at the start of the race, but at the end of the weekend, maybe you're going to be struggling for some grip. We were speaking to Arch O'Brien earlier, and he was saying, he went through 2, albeit scrubbed sets, 2 sets of tyres yesterday that, yes, had been used previously, and yes, were not in the best condition. But the fact that he's gone through 2 already, I'm sure it's a similar situation for a lot of the riders out there in the paddock. They'll all be watching the tyres very, very closely, watching the conditions very, very closely, and seeing how we're doing. The sun isn't quite out at the moment. A little bit of cloud cover, but not very windy, nice and warm as well for those on the sidelines anyway, and it is set to be beautiful weather all weekend here in Dorset, so should be very, very interesting to see if the weather does start to cause havoc on things like tyre temperature, brake temperature. We've seen before the likes of Wilson Dilk struggling with brake temperature and ultimately having brake failures because of it. So it's something the riders need to be on top of around here, especially just because of how fast the circuit is.
But it's also probably going to be one of the most helpful weekends, because right now in the UK we're used to obviously wet weather and coldness, which is great for British riders to go through the ranks and be, when it rains, we're really strong. But a lot of our riders go to Europe over the winter to avoid some of the rain, and then it's really hot. then it's, the tyres are going to be warm, the brakes are going to be warm, and we don't really get many opportunities in the UK to practice how to ride when your tyres are overheating, when the brakes are going to be hot, how to manage that. So for a lot of the riders that, particularly maybe in the 50s and the 70s, that really want to progress up the ladder into, Redbull Rookies or the British Talent Cup and all the way to the top, this is probably going to be one of those weekends where you have a look at it, and even if you don't get the results you want, you get very valuable data that you're going to use further down in the line, because you know how to manage your tyres, you know how to keep them in check and not rip through a set, because it's all well and good, being able to change tyres each race, but if they fall off a cliff halfway through a race, you're going to fall back quite tremendously. So it is going to be a learning curve, and one that they're going to have to manage very well, and also just, again, throws another variable into what is going to be a very questionable weekend in terms of championships.
It should be indeed, as there we see the number 11 of Jamie Alexander and Isaac Greenstreet making their way through. They had a pretty solid weekend last time out, or double weekend, I suppose we should say, at Rower. Of course, 6 races in that one. Unfortunately, a DNS in the final race, issues as they came to the red lights and had to pull over to the side of the circuit and watch from the infield. But I'm sure they'll be pretty happy with the progress that they have been making, and they're running pretty well in this qualifying too as well. Currently P5, about 2/10 off of Chris Impey and Dave Case on the 457 in front. Of course, we will confirm to you what the final grid positions are heading into all 3 races. We still have to wait for race control to get in touch with the final grid positions when they have done all the calculation, all of that. They did have a little bit of a problem yesterday, number 11 in the practice session, something snapping off the bike. We have seen a photo of it, we're not entirely sure what it is. I think what we came up with, Zach, is it's either a chunk of the frame or something off of the exhaust housing. Obviously not ideal. They did go and get it back off the track, but that's not what you want to start a weekend.
No, definitely suboptimal. It's something that has to be welded, so you would assume it's something that needs to be quite strong, which is why it might be the chassis or the framework or whatever, however you want to call it. That's what we assume, but we're just commentators, so what do we know? Not really much. I did want to point out, actually, on the right-hand side, their fairing there does look to be either split or cracked, because it doesn't look to be overly secure. I don't know. It's not a massive problem or anything. It's just it's just there. It is flapping around, and it also does look fairly lopsided. Look, on the left-hand side, it's running very low. Again, not a problem. Just something to point out. It is good to note, of course, that these sidecars are built, not bought. Right, they are one of those things that you DIY, you do all the research and development yourself, and then you turn up at race weekends and see how quick it is. And that adds such an interesting development to it, because not only do you have to ride it quickly, but you have to be your own mechanics, your own riders, your own strategists, your own engineers to make this bike go quickly. And I think that really adds an interesting level of depth to this championship, and the fact that we can do all of that and have 3 sidecars within 0.2 of a second is quite astonishing.
I mean, there's a bit of a difference, isn't it, between, maybe in the other categories where you can buy a really good motor, a really good set of shocks or something like that, and, engineer the bike to the absolute death, to get it to absolute perfection. There's a difference between that and custom building the frame and making sure everything is linked up, and that is what makes the sidecar so exciting, because just the pure amount of effort that has gone into making these machines. It is quite frankly ridiculous. Of course, the 90, they've been the best builders so far this season. Of course, spent the last couple of years chasing the number 26 of Mick Williams this year. As it stands, looks like they are the outfit to beat. But again, 2 rounds to go. Pretty disappointing last round for the championship leaders in round 4 and 5 at Rower. So they'll be looking for a strong comeback this weekend. As it stands in qualifying 2, well, that's 0.04 of a second off of Mick Williams' time at the moment, so very, very tight between the pair of them. We've already seen them come to blows once so far this season back at Three Sisters, mirroring what happened in the championship finale last year. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen again, but fingers crossed we carry on getting just this brilliant sidecar racing that we have had all season long.
Yeah, there's been no love lost at all. They've been just as aggressive with each other as we've come to expect. Of course, qualifying is drawing to a close. This is the final lap for the Greenstreets, and is going to be a very, very important one indeed. A 44.906 is the time to beat. A 44.942 is the time they've got on the board at the moment. Can Greenstreets take pole position? We'll have to wait and find out, of course, because Mick Williams looks very, very strong indeed. They've got a couple more corners left to run their way through before before they take to the line and then, of course, set their best lap time. Again, the temperatures and stuff, it's very easy to override the bike and, of course, warm up the tyres a bit too much. What are they going to do as they cross the line? It's a 45.6, so nowhere near at all. Mick Williams, it looks to be the favourite for pole, and on a weekend that well could be championship defining. Ever since Ella Park, where we had Mick Williams join us, he didn't come to Lid and as such lost 50 points right off the bat. To only be 26 points back at this stage in the season, still with 6 races to go, is a mega effort for Mick Williams. Let's see what he's got in store, because I'm confident that at the very least it's going to come down to the final 2 races at Ella Park.
I mean, Mick Williams will be counting his lucky stars that we did have to cancel race 3s back at Lid due to the issues we had out on track, because then he could have been 75 points back, and this is a very, very different picture. But of course, it is time for the final qualifying session of the weekend, and it is time for the premier class here in FAB-Racing, the LS2 Helmets MiniGP 70 British Championship, another championship that is getting oh so exciting, especially after the double-header round at Rara. A lot of what we were focusing on at Rara was, of course, the main championship challenger, Archie O'Brien, that number 91, who just had a rather torrid weekend, unfortunately. He admits himself he wasn't particularly good that weekend, but just problem on top of problem on top of problem with the bike. Ended up lending bikes from other people, using 3 or 4 different bikes across the weekend just to see if he could rescue anything from that weekend. And unfortunately, he just didn't come together. But at the same time, Wilson Dilks, current championship leader, also did not fully capitalise on the weekend. 1 DNF in race 2 of round 4, 1 DNS where there was an issue at the start of the race, and unfortunately he had to drop out after a bit of a collision on the line in race 1 of round number 5. But 3 race wins and a P3 out of the 4 races that he did complete. We also saw the likes of Byron Johnson having spectacular weekends. Finley Polehill as well was absolutely mega and has almost kind of thrown himself in the championship fight after 5 or 4 podiums and a win. But that gap is ever growing between Wilson Dilks and Archie O'Brien. 45 points heading into this weekend. I'm not saying it's done and dusted yet, but it might be starting to get to a point where we're not talking about Archie O'Brien challenging Wilson Dilks for the championship. We're maybe talking about Archie O'Brien trying to secure the vice championship.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he does seem fairly safe. He's got a 22-point lead ahead of Byron Johnson, but the lad's not won a race this season, and obviously some of that, you know, he's had issues. He's had a couple of opportunities to win and hasn't. Race 3 at Three Sisters, for example, was a golden opportunity to do so. Unfortunately, it didn't quite materialise for him. But on the flip side of that, to have not won a race this season and still be P2 in the championship with the championship alive when your rival has won 10 of the races thus far this season, the 3 people behind you in the championship have all won a race as well. The level of consistency that he's had is incredible. If he just translates that into his starts, he'll pretty much have it sussed out and hopefully have that track position to go. Of course, there's a slight bit of an issue there for one of the riders. I think they will be okay to continue on and be all good. But there is Archie O'Brien, of course, distinctly known for the Spider-Man helmet. He's feeling really confident coming into this weekend. So that first win, I reckon, is on the horizon. But Wilson Dilks is never going to be an easy opponent to challenge, particularly as well when you've got the likes of Byron Johnson, who we've said is on really top form as of recent weekends as well, taking the wins in the 50s, favourite for the 50 championship as well, and in the 70s, getting that win at Rara. It's a strong field, right? And this is why this championship, the LS2 Helmets MiniGP 70, is that gateway from Fab into higher, better bike championships.
Absolutely. As you said, Archie O'Brien feeling very confident. Currently slots into P2 after completing lap number 1 in Quali 2. Just 6.5 hundredths off of Byron Johnson's quickest lap time. Those two look to be the class of the field heading into this weekend. We'll wait and see what's going to happen. Archie and Byron, both of them feeling very at home at this track. It's a track that should, on paper, suit their riding styles to the ground, as Archie O'Brien just pulls wide, lets some of the riders go through. Actually comes into the pits. He did come out into a bit of traffic at the start of this session. Still 8 minutes and 45 seconds left to go, so plenty of time to come in, have a few discussions, maybe if they're quick, change something on the bike if they fancy it, and then head straight back out again, hopefully in some clear air so we can get some lap times down Another big thing Archie was saying, though, turn 1, that left-hand kink, we were talking earlier, Zach, about how the guys at the top of the field can take it flat. It's a bit of a risk if you want to, because it might compromise your entry into turn number 2 at Billy's Bend, and that's a very, very big corner, the first real challenge on the circuit where you can lose a lot of time if you make a mistake. But Archer was saying, I feel comfortable taking it flat. If I can get the bike over enough to the left throughout the racing, for the entry into the right hand, I'm going to take it flat, but the rear likes to step out. You've got to be very, very careful of that rear. So that's something to watch. Byron Johnson won, also who seems to be liking taking it flat. Nearly had an off there this morning, though. Caught the curb a little bit wrong and was very much unseated from the bike, but did well to stay on and keep going. Still pushing very, very hard as well. Currently chasing down Harry Payne out on track, who's sat P3 at the moment. Wilson Dilks 3/10 off of Johnson's best time, down in P4. That's not the start to this qualifying session that the championship leader would have wanted.
No, absolutely not. Wilson Dilks, of course, like we say, he's won 10 races this season. He's been on the podium 12 times. The only time he's finished outside of the top 5 is when he's not finished or started at all. So he's never actually finished off the podium. A lowest finish of P3, the rest of them were wins. That is the level that Wilson Dilks has risen to in this championship this year. He has just been absolutely on fire. And it seems as though there has been no stopping him. There he is, at the moment sat 5th, but there is still 7 minutes left to go in this session. He picks it up into P2 at the moment, completing the front row ahead of Byron Johnson. It, in fact, has just gone 32 thousandths of a second quicker than Archie O'Brien, but he's 32 thousandths of a second slower than Byron Johnson. The gaps between each of the top 5 is sensational. There is only 6/10 covering the top 7 in qualifying. This series, as it always is going to be the one to watch this weekend.
Dilks, of course, can walk away from this weekend as champion as well. 75 points is the magic gap that you need to have at the end of race number 3 if you want to head into the final round without a care in the world and feeling on top of it as well. So it is a possibility. Whether it will come into reality is another question. It's quite an ask, but we'll wait and see. Of course, if you're a fan of Wilson Dilks, let us know. If you're a fan of another rider, let us know as well. We also want to see how it is as Wilson Dilks now does stick it onto the top by a 10th of a second. Top 5, though, all covered by 3/10. O'Brien's down. Oh dear, O'Brien's had a big off.
He's limping as well.
He's up on his feet, but he doesn't look happy.
That left leg looks hurt as well.
Yeah, and that bike doesn't look good either. That is not a good start for Archie O'Brien. Oh dear, oh dear. What has happened there? I think that's coming into the horseshoe hairpin, coming towards the back end of the lap. And oh no, that's actually a lot of that's coming out of the S's. So he's lost it coming out of the S's. There's not a lot of runoff there either. So that's a very, very strange incident. But luckily that's where the ambulance crew is situated. So the paramedics are right with him to check if he's okay. But Archie O'Brien, well, currently sitting P2, just set his personal best as well, a 37.986. I wonder, maybe getting a bit too greedy, pushing a little bit too much. But that is not what you want heading into the weekend, especially in the weekend where you need to bounce back, where he's feeling so positive. A crash in qualifying too, not ideal.
Absolutely not at all for Archie O'Brien, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's one of those kids that really does just take a breath, reset and goes again. This 85 machine is the man that Archie O'Brien had to come in and beat, and at the moment Wilson Dilks a slow start to qualifying but has immediately bounced back. We've got just shy of 5 minutes left to go, just ticked under the 5-minute mark in qualifying. Wilson Dilks a 37.883. For reference, Ethan Sparks' lap record is a 37.839. We were told that during Q1 and practice they were running actually underneath that lap record set by Ethan Sparks. It has to be set in a race for it to count as a lap record, but it just shows how quick the track is, how quick the riders are, and how ready they are to potentially go and attack some records. I think, memory serves me correctly, we've had a new lap record at least in every single class at every round thus far this season, just showing the levels that the riders have taken to in 2024 FAB-Racing. Last time by, Wilson Dilks extends the margin for pole.
Does indeed, and that does go under the lap record set by Ethan Sparks as well. So obviously not official, not set during a race, but just goes to show the pace these guys are running at. The conditions seemingly just working for them. Temperature's nice and warm, a little bit on the humid side, but not too bad. Little to no wind as well. The main thing really that we're worrying about is just can we make those tyres last. It's not something you often have to think about in mini bike racing, is making the tyres last, but just around here that seems to be a factor we have to consider. as with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock, your current top 5, Dilks, Polehill, O'Brien, Johnson and Harry Payne, all covered by 0.4 of a second. Of course, Archie O'Brien down and out in this session. Believe he was fastest in qualifying 1, so he could still have an opportunity to be on pole position here. Just depends what his time was comparing to Dilks. But Dilks, of course, championship leader. Archie O'Brien 45 points back. He needs a strong weekend, because if that gap's similar to RJ heading into the final round, when suddenly, you can have one pool race and that's it. The championship's done and dusted. Archie O'Brien as well, 22 points back to Byron Johnson himself, 14 points clear of Harrison Day himself, only 10 points clear of Finlay Polehill. So I think, that contesting for maybe not the championship, but certainly the vice championship could be really, really exciting coming into the final 6 races of this season, because there are a lot of riders up there, a lot of very, very strong riders, and they could all be contesting for a place. And of course, this is the series before you level up into things like the R&G British Talent Cup, and all the teams in there, they'll be watching this with a keen eye, seeing who they'll want to bring on board for next season. And these guys are also, of course, wanting to go up and wanting to vie for a place in that grid, and then move on to things like Junior GP, the European Talent Cup, the Redbull MotoGP Rookies Cup, for example, as we've seen many a FAB rider do before. So it's a very, very exciting championship. It's the premier class here at FAB. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go on the clock. Wilson Dilks currently a 10th clear at the top.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job again. Not only is he putting in quick lap times, but he is putting in consistent ones as well. That last time by, it wasn't quicker, but it was less than 1/10 of a second slower. So it's not a race, it is only qualifying, but the consistency that young man has got is incredible. That is turn 1, by the way. That is that gamble that we're talking about, trying it, just take it a little bit of speed, and then keep it nice and tight to the left to swing it out for the right, and then into the S's. So it is a very technical circuit. Is Clay Pigeon. Does take a lot of commitment to be quick around here, and that is commitment that Wilson Dilks has got in bucket loads. We are nearing towards the end of this session. Final couple of laps coming in, 1 minute 35 left on the clock, so opportunities wearing out if you want to improve. And pretty much anyone inside the top 4, realistically, bar Archie O'Brien, of course, because he's off the bike and out of the session. The front 2 rows separated by less than 0.2 of a second. Well, I say that. They were separated by less than 0.2 of a second. Wilson Dilks has just gone and put in a 37.736. So extending that margin to Finlay Polehill by nearly 1/4 of a second. The top 6 now separated by half a second.
Wilson Dilks showing us how it's done, making a statement and laying down the law, is the championship leader. We'll continue to follow him as we go into the final minute of the final qualifying session of the weekend. Comes into the final few corners now, through the right-hander and then into top bend, then blasting down the pit straight. Let's check the time once again. Is it faster this time? No, it's a smidge slower, but still the consistency, all the lap times within a few tenths of a second. Oh. That's a big one. That is the Lucy 71 Curtis. Of Lucy Curtis, who's had a big off. That's down the bottom end of the track, I believe, coming out of Billy's Bend. That is not what you want to see. A big accident. No, that's coming into the hairpin, actually. That could be the end of our qualifying session. Yeah, I think so. Of course, hopefully that Lucy Curtis is okay. She's only just come back from recovery after quite a sizable one in the Wet and Wild Ella Park as well. So hopefully it doesn't knock her confidence too much, because in the race that she has finished, she's had consistent runs inside the top 10 on what is a very stacked LS Duham's MiniGP 70 grid. So an unfortunate mistake for whatever the reason was that caused the crash, going into the hairpin, maybe a bit too much rear brake or trying to carry a bit too much speed in. Whatever the cause was, hopefully she's up and okay for the first race that will be taking place later on, and red flag is out in order. So that is the end of qualifying. Wilson Dilks sets the pace with a 37.736 ahead of Finlay Polehill with a 37.948. Of course, we'll confirm the grid a little bit later on when we've got the merge results of both Q1 and Q2. Archie O'Brien, though, what could this mean for the championship? Because in Q2, he was third quickest. Absolutely. Very interesting stuff here. Hopefully Lucy Curtis is all right. We'll let you know as soon as we know. The red flag's, of course, coming out, but it was, I believe, about a second or two away from the checkered flag anyway, so the session was all but over, and especially with that yellow flag out for the last minute or so, no one would have been setting very quick lap times. So we'll let you know what's going on with Lucy Curtis and Archie O'Brien. But again, Archie, that's the big story in this one. The man currently P2 in the championship, who was feeling super confident this weekend, just coming off the bike, looked to be some damage to it as well. Some bits and pieces, possibly from the handlebar, lying on the grass at the side of the circuit. So we'll wait and see what that all comes to. Again, we'll get the grids confirmed to you as soon as we know. But that is the end of our qualifying here at Clay Pigeon. Some interesting scenes to go there. If you're just joining us, thank you for tuning in. You just joined us at the perfect time, end of qualifying. About to go racing here at round number 6 of the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship. It should be very, very exciting to see what's going to happen. Of course, let us know who you're here supporting. Let us know in the comment, of course, like, share, subscribe to help build this championship and get the young names out there. And of course, you mentioned earlier that some of our riders go to Europe in the winter to train and all that in the warmer weather as well. Of course, was recently announced that FAB-Racing, we are launching a winter championship over in Spain as well. Looks to be about 4 rounds. There's more information over on FAB-Racing social media, so go and check that one out. But that should be very, very exciting indeed. So more FAB-Racing action for you. Qualifying now over. Time to go racing very, very shortly. First up will be the AC40 Pros race number 1. So let's see how these guys manage to contest with Clay Pigeon. The first time back here since 2022. The rider's just holding in the dummy area, or the dummy grid, should I say, just waiting for the clean-up from the incident from Lucy Curtis. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but hopefully we'll be able to get back out there in just a short moment's time and get racing as well. And you can see bumper crowd watching along here at Clay Pigeon, as always. And maybe not so much of a bumper crowd in that grandstand, but still one person who's hopefully watching the stream. If you are, give us a wave. I've had that happen before. It happened once. I'm not sure it'll happen again. I think I used all up my luck in that circumstance. But again, if you are just joining us, hello and welcome to round 6 of the 2024 FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, Zach Sweeney alongside me for what should be a very, very exciting weekend's worth of racing.
As you can see, I invited all my friends to watch in the grandstand, and yeah, they all turned up. It's great. But yeah, we are about to get going for the pro class, and this is one of the championships that can be wrapped up this weekend. In theory, Rex Austin, after what has been a really standout performance in this class, ahead of Mason Frederick, 49 points is the gap. You need 76 to be secure going into Ella Park in a couple of weeks' time. And to be fair, Rex Austin, Mason Frederick and Kayla Ratcliffe, they've all been fairly equal. I mean, the battle that we had at Rowra between the three of them was sensational. Back and forth, trading wins, trading places on the podium all weekend long. But a couple of DNFs has let Mason Frederick down. A couple of DNS really for Kayla Ratcliffe, and a slow start to this season. Also a poor showing in race 1 at Rowra, outside of the top 5, has sort of backed him off the championship as well. He's showing us actually. He's got the stream up. Love that. Beautiful. He come in and had a chat and said some nice words as well. So shout out for watching along. Thank you very much for all of your support to everyone watching out there. Get your friends, your family, your friends, family. I said it twice, it's fine. Watching along, like, share, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications to stay up to date with the road to MotoGP. But AC40 Pro about to come up, and the grid is spicy. The top 3 in the championship, 1, 2, 3 on the grid as well.
Should be very interesting. There we see the flag marshal of FAB-Racing, Lee Clowes, heading back over, looking hopeful to set the riders out on their way for the first race of the weekend. Of course, a big thank you to all the marshals here this weekend and all season long as well. Both the trackside marshals in the orange and the roving marshals, parents of FAB-Racing riders who come along and lend their hand. So a big thank you to all of them. And of course, a big thank you to the medics and those in race control, Rob and Roger Keys, our race directors, and everyone who makes racing here at FAB-Racing possible. Can do without them, and they are all superstars in their own rights. And some of our fans watching along as well. Of course, it is free entry, so if you're not far from Clay Pigeon, you know, Yeovil, Dorchester, down that way, come have a look, come have some fun. It's set to be a very, very solid weekend of racing, and some crowds building up over here. There's a wave to the camera. Hope you're doing all right, guys, and I hope you're enjoying this weekend's action so far. We are just moments away from the first race of the weekend, race number 1 of the AC40 Pros. And as you said, Zach, a very, very exciting championship. We've got a few riders, though, not just those top 3 we need to keep an eye on. Of course, the likes of Max Johnson picked up a few podiums at Rowra. Preston Baker had a very strong middle half of the season so far, but a bit of a disappointing run at Rowra, bar a podium in the final race. And then the likes of Henry Brody, Arthur Rich, Tommy Keats as well, those riders who've been building up and building up and building up. Of course, this is the first championship beyond the Rookies Cup, the first step into your bike racing career. So this is the first championship where the first series where the going gets tough, shall we say. Of course, we've got a few riders returning here this weekend to FAB-Racing. We've got Philip Stroviak, British Talent Cup rider, race winner at Silverstone a few weeks back. Also got Ronnie Harris here, Ollie Horner. That's a name we haven't seen in FAB-Racing in quite a long time. He's here this weekend as well. So clearly Sullivan Mounsey turning up, even though he didn't race all that often at Rowra. Clearly inspiring a few old faces to show face. Another big one as well, Taylor Lawrence, 2021 Pit Bike 140 champion. He's here as well, so great to have him back in the paddock. Should be very, very exciting. Some of our riders watching along, they see Daisy Grayson Daisy Bolden, should I say, on the left-hand side, getting ready to watch along. A few other riders there as well. And, well, we'll see what's going on in just a short moment. The track seems to be clear, so I think the last few checks are just being made before we send our AC40 Pro riders out onto the grid. So then, race number 1 in the AC40 Pros, the first race of the weekend here at Clay Pigeon. And boy, oh boy, are we excited to get underway. It should be a very, very exciting one, to say the least. The riders have been waiting in the holding area for what they feel will be a slightly bit too long. Probably getting a bit impatient, those young guys out there, due to the delay out on track. But, as we see there, everyone watching along at the stream or something like that on someone's phone. And it should all be very exciting. There we go, notice at the camera as well. Hiya guys, hope you're all right and can't wait to see you all out on track as well. But race 1 of the AC40 Pro, Zach, should be very, very exciting. Frederick, Austin, Ratcliffe, top 3 in the championship, top 3 on the grid as well, and looking to do yet more battle.
Some interesting gang signs being thrown up there, but nice waving from all the young riders there. Of course, Gino, he joined us in the commentary box at Rowra a few weeks ago and gave us some lovely gifts as well. And what a little rock star that he is, the young man. Very creative, very nice indeed, and very grateful for everyone's support at home. And again, nice to see them all waving into the commentary box. We've got quite an open one here at Clay, so everyone can look in. I feel like a celebrity, I've got to be honest. It's not often we're just commentators, but it's great. But anyway, nonetheless, we've got racing to focus on, right? This is the standout race that we've got. We have just been had word that the pro race will be slightly delayed, so we're going to be given a 5-minute warning ahead of the start, of course, with Lucy Curtis's crash at the end of qualifying, having to do checks, make sure the track is safe and make sure that the pro race can go ahead safely. So we'll keep you guys up to date at home watching along, but don't worry, me and Ross will hopefully have some racing to talk over and not just mithering on to ourselves here. There is one Mr. Will Howarth, the 96 machine, back after missing Rowra. He'll be racing the senior mini-motos and moto team as well to try and defend some wins. Has taken a number of them over the duration of this year. Moto team, particularly recently as well, has become really competitive. The senior mini-motos as well, as always, has been competitive, apart from Rowra, where David Myatt things, just showed up and won everything. So maybe Mr. Howarth can give him a bit of a challenge and not allow Myatt to be so dominant. But there is just so much prospect ahead of this weekend, so much to look forward to, and like I say as well, in the pros, again, that sort of second step on that ladder all the way up to the top of FAB-Racing. The championship is still alive. Just to talk you through some of the quick stats, because we like our numbers, don't we, Ross? And when it comes to young riders, 5 wins apiece for Rex Austin and Mason Frederick, 13 podiums to 11, 14 top 5s to 11 of Mason Frederick. So every time he's finished inside the top 5, it's been on the podium. Every time he's finished, it's been on the podium. The only problem is that sometimes he's had that DNF. Three Sisters, most particularly, he had a couple of offs, and at Three Sisters you can't remount, so that really did cost him. In what it was, in the races that he DNF'd, Rex Austin scored what would have been 41 points, which is pretty much the gap that it is in the championship right now. So those DNFs that we look back in hindsight and think, oh, well, yeah, Mason Frederick, if he wouldn't have had those offs, having the power of hindsight, know that if he hadn't come off in those 2 races, the gap would be significantly smaller than it is, and it had done himself a lot of favours. And the 2 DNFs that he had were arguably completely avoidable. And what do we think what implication is that going to have on the championship now that we've got that benefit of hindsight?
It's tough to say. I mean, as the sayings go, consistency is key, points mean prizes, etc., etc. The only time Rex Austin's finished off the podium this entire season was in the second race at Ella Park amid very, very tricky conditions. Every other race he has finished on the podium. He's not failed to finish once. So those 3 DNFs for Mason Frederick could really, really be hurting him. And Three Sisters again. I think it was just unlucky he came off there again. Three Sisters, a very particular rule where, if you come off the bike, as you said, you're not allowed to remount. But also, if you're looking at the start of the season for Mason Frederick, until his 2 DNFs at Three Sisters, he won every race bar one. 5 race wins and a second place to his name. He had a lightning hot start. And then since then, either the pack's closed up or Rex Austin's kind of found his rhythm and found his groove. So I'm really unsure what's going to happen. Of course, got to remember as well, Frederick, he's been on pole position every race meeting so far, and this one as well. So qualifying for that man, that's his game. That's where he's in the zone. But in the racing, especially after those DNFs at Three Sisters, it seemed that the swingometers moved slightly more in the direction of Rex Austin, so something to watch out for there. As you see, everyone just getting ready. That's the track director, the circuit manager here at Clay Pigeon, just heading back into the paddock. I think he was just checking up on some of the riders who were involved in the incidents at the end of qualifying there, that being Lucy Curtis and Archie O'Brien. Of course, we'll let them know that they're okay as soon as we know. So we should be seeing, and there we see that's Team Ronnie Harris over there watching along. Look at some deck chairs now. That's a genius idea. I mean, you could use some of the many empty grandstands that we have around here, some of them situated at the opposite side of the circuit, giving the camera away. So everyone's waving to the camera today. We're lucky if we get 1 or 2 most seasons. Today we've got about 10, and people waving into the commentary box for some reason. We don't have a camera in here, but hello everyone.
By all means, wave. He had quite a shocking wake up. She tapped him to say wave, and he quite jumped himself up. I feel bad, but they're still waving. Hello to you guys, all 3 of you guys. But good timing to wake up, get yourself back involved. What is going to be an amazing day of FAB-Racing. They're pointing to the hat. We can't quite read what it says, but by all means, get the exposure, I suppose. Get your 10 seconds of fame. That is a code.
We've not even started the race yet. It's already reached this point in the commentary box. That is indeed a code. Thank you very much, Zach Sweeney. I'll be seeing that one in the commentator section.
That's my show reel right there. That's the opening clip.
I'll be seeing that one in the commentator section of Private Eye in a few weeks. That is indeed a cone. There's a starting grid, etc., etc. Again, track very clear. The riders have left the dummy grid a little while ago and headed back to their awnings on order from race control. I think they just wanted to clear out the dummy grid just in case they need an ambulance to come through. I'm sure we'll be getting the go-ahead, though. We'll be getting a 5-minute warning through, and then obviously everyone will be heading back in. So dummy grid looking pretty quiet at the moment, and everyone trackside just taking in the view of one of the most historic, one of the most fantastic racetracks in the whole UK. It is just brilliant around here. It's one of my favourite circuits in the world. There we see race control. Hello, guys. That's the race director, Roger Keys, there on the left-hand side, the helmsman of FAB-Racing since its inception back in 2004, and continuing to do us proud, continuing to put in great service after all these years. Of course, a big thank you to those guys in race control for all that do. Not next door to us this weekend, unfortunately, so if we want anything from them, we have to do a bit of a 15-second sprint. But they're not too far away. And there we see.
That is a bird.
That's a bird. There's some wildlife going on here. I'm sure that'll clear off. That'll clear off, I'm sure, when the bikes head back out onto track. Birds normally get pretty scared when big fast things get moving at them.
But the local ones to the tracks, they're sort of they get used to it, don't they? They get used to the noise. So maybe he's just he's probably just chilling. There we go.
No, he's off.
He's decided he wants to be off. That's fine. No worries at all. But yeah, it's like we're on an episode of a David Attenborough documentary. Nonetheless, we have got a number of cameras and taking place. Of course, we've got Mr. Baldwin, who's going around, the official FAB-Racing commentator. But of course, we got that one on camera as well, mate. Caught in 4K. Beautiful. You've been framed. No worries. That's fine. Be careful, ladies and gentlemen. We can see you and we will look at you. There we go. No worries. This is what happens when racing gets delayed, ladies and gentlemen. Commentators get a little bit delirious. The marshals themselves probably very grateful, actually, to be fair, of a nice 5-minute break, because usually it's quite full throttle before during a race weekend. They don't usually get much time to relax and chill and just take a moment to breathe. They're constantly having to run out, recover bikes, wave flags and stuff, and actually during red flags, it's their time to sit down, just have a little play on their phone, whatever, and relax for a little bit. But full throttle behind the scenes just to make sure that we can go racing as soon as possible and kickstart the racing action, because we have got 10 races ahead of us across all of our categories this weekend. We've got the pros, the rookies, the senior mini-motos and the LC40 Elites. Those are the smaller bikes, the mini-motos. The pit bikes will then kick off their first race ahead of the MotoGP MiniGP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre. Extreme 200 just after that, a bit of a mosh pit of some bikes. We've got the Metrikits, the Ovalis, some of the pit bikes as well taking to that class, and one of those ones that is a particularly bit of intrigue in terms of the championships. Moto Team, of course, quite an interesting one in more of an endurance style, in the sense that it's the bike that scores points as opposed to the rider that's on it, so that always throws up a bit of an intrigue. It's both standard and open class as well. Mini F1 sidecar we touched on during qualifying as always, very, very strong indeed. And of course the LS2 Helmets MetroKit Mini GP 70 class to round off today's action. And then we get to do it all over again and again tomorrow for Sunday. We've got 2 loads of racing action over tomorrow, so make sure you are tuning in here, of course, on the FAB-Racing socials, both on YouTube and on Facebook. Make sure that you have your say. Make sure that you're keeping us up to date in the YouTube chat, on the Facebook chat as well. Let us know where you're watching from, let us know who you're supporting, and let us know any thoughts, feelings, queries, questions, whatever really tickles your fancy back at home. We are keeping a slight eye on it, and we are going to be monitoring, and we'd like to have some chat engagement over the duration of this weekend as well. So make sure you are liking, subscribing, and turning the bell on for notifications to stay up to date with all things Fab Racing, because we are towards the tail end of 2024. But like we say, we've got the winter series to look forward to as well, which is not something we usually get. So yeah, let's have it.
I mean, there's been a lot more kind of Fab Racing going on outside our normal Fab Racing action this year, which is great. We've had a lot of kind of private testing sessions going on that have been organised by Fab. We've had kind of sessions to help get riders learn new tracks. Now we've got the winter series being announced as well. And well, again, it should be very, very exciting as there we see some more wildlife out there. Of course, we're not hoping you're supporting the wildlife. We're hoping you're supporting one of our riders here, but they'll be out on circuit in just a moment. As there we see, we've just been given the notification, 5-minute warning for the race. I did see Lee Clowes heading over to race control just out of our commentary box window a few moments ago, so I think she just went to have a quick discussion with them. She's now sent through the message. 5-minute warning. We'll be seeing all our riders heading out into the dummy grid once again, and then this time we can actually properly go racing with our AC40 Pros race one. There is Lee Clowes actually heading back into race control, actually, should I say. That's around the flag post, but she was there just a moment ago, I think. Was she going back in? And as well, though, we saw Mrs. Matthew Thomas as well. Matthew Thomas's mother heading in. But it should be quite interesting.
Matthew as well.
Yeah, clearly named Matthew. Yeah, again, it's reached that point. There's no racing on. We've gone delirious, as she said, Zach. But race control, of course, they've had the discussions. They feel like we're ready to go racing. And well, 5-minute warning's out, so we are moments away. Most of the pro riders, must be said, are out on the all around the dummy grid, should I say. It's just that the bikes have all been carted back to awnings, vans, tents, call them whatever you will. Team HQs, let's go with that one.
Yeah,
but the riders are
more official.
The riders are all they've all been hanging around, and they're just clearly just having a bit of a chat, and that's just allowed the wildlife to settle in, have a bit of a moment around here, as that's down the bottom end of the circuit. And there we can see as well, there's an RV there in the background. That's an interesting place to park it, but I think that might be the Team Harris camper van, actually, or something along those lines. So we're not far off then from actually properly getting underway this weekend for the first of our 30 races this weekend. Of course, let us know your thoughts, let us know who you're supporting, let us know who you think is going to be on top at the end of the weekend. And of course, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that to help put Fab Racing and establish it even further out there in the bike racing community, to show where the best of young British talent is made, and some of the best of slightly older British talent is also made for our more senior riders. There we see some of the riders sat in the pit wall. Of course, you're not allowed to do that in the actual racing, but we're not actually racing, so I'm sure they'll be allowed to get away with that one for the time being. So it should be very, very exciting. Starting to hear some engines getting fired up in the background, and I can see some bikes making their way into the holding area as well, and more people flocking to trackside. We're only a few moments away, Zach Sweeney.
Yeah, we are indeed. The anticipation then is rising. We're ready to go racing. And even despite this delay, we're still technically ahead of schedule. Ideally, I say ideally, we were scheduled to start race 1 at 3:15, and it is currently 3:07 here in the UK. So we're actually still a good 8 minutes ahead of schedule. Not bad going again, and I am hearing engines beginning to rev. So the adrenaline once more is going to be pumping back up for the AC40 Pro class. Just see them making their way back to the dummy grid before they take to their formation lap to the grid. Lights out. We get racing for 10 laps of the AC40 Pros, their first of 3 this weekend. So yeah, I mean, what are we going to expect? Because we've got Mason Federick, Rex Austin, Kellen Ratcliffe. We'll go through the full grid in just a moment, but most interestingly, the top 3 in the championship, 1, 2, 3 on the grid once again here for Clay Pigeon. Mason Federick, this is the weekend for the championship. If he wants to win it, he needs to win every single race.
He does. It's well, I'm not going to say it's a tall order for Mason Federick, but shall we say the odds maybe not necessarily stacked in his favour. He's got a big ask ahead of him, but we know what Federick has in his locker. Of course, starting from pole position for all 3 races this weekend as well, he's got a good opportunity to at least make a dent in that championship lead of Rex Austin. And there we do see the riders getting ready to head out. I can see out the commentary box window the rest of the grid getting their bikes into the holding area, getting riders on the bikes, getting the engines fired up and getting ready as well. So it's just moments away now from getting underway. As there we see at the front of your picture the 23 of Henry Brody. He's clearly very, very keen. The only one who's actually at the end of the pit lane and looking to get out onto circuit. Oh no, there we go. He's been joined by none other than our pole sitter Mason Federick on the number 5 as well. So time's ticking, almost time to go racing. We'll keep our eyes peeled for Lee Klaus when she sends the riders on their way out on their sighting lap. And then, of course, it'll be to the grid. Red lights on, red lights off. We go racing for the rest of the weekend. So should be very, very interesting. More and more riders making their way up. More and more fans watching along here at FAB-Racing as well. Clay Pigeon, a very, very popular circuit. It has its own club minibike championship as well, actually. So it's clearly a popular location for those on minibikes and mini-motos. And it's just a track that's absolutely adored across the whole country and is renowned across the world as well in the worlds of karting and mini bikes, just for how good of a circuit it is. So much history just seeps from this place, and you can tell these young riders want to be a part of that.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, you know, you always want to be there when history is written, at least just to have your name on it, to say that, you know, I was there, even if you weren't the history maker itself. But even more helpful, you know, for some of these guys, they do have a chance to make history. The history being the 2024 FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship, if they're able to come out on top in it. There are a number of riders that can do it, potentially this weekend. I mean, there is a chance that Rex Austin could do it in this class. It is going to take a lot of bad luck for Mason Federick and Kalen Ratcliffe to do so, but the chances are low, the chances are not zero. Rex Austin is going to be vying to, at the very least, put himself in the best stead possible going to Ella Park to make it as easy a ride as possible. Mason Federick is going to be knocking on his door and saying, nah, you cannot be doing that. I need to be right on your tail going into Ella Park, because there are only 6 races left of 2024. Of course, we started back in April. It's now the middle of August. In fact, it's the second half of August now, and we took to lid a number of months ago. It's gone by in a flash. The biggest gap that we had was between Three Sisters and Rara. That was a whole 6-week gap. Between that, we've had gaps of 2 weeks, 3 weeks-ish. From Rara to the end of the season at Ella Park, we've got 3 weeks gaps between here and Clay Pigeon, and then another 3 weeks before we go to Ella Park for the second and final time in 2024. So it has flown by, but we've had so many races to take to as well. So it's important in the championship. 6 races left to go. We're about to get started for the first of them.
We absolutely are. I mean, not to, toot my own horn or anything, but, I've been around FAB-Racing for a fair few years now, and I think it is safe to say that overall, this is the best season of FAB-Racing that I've commentated over. Maybe there's moments with individual championships where there's been, better races in the past or something along those lines, but as a whole series, this year has just been phenomenal from the start to now. Just Baton there will be one sighting lap when they head out of, so they'll be going around once, and then I believe they will just stop on the grid and then they'll get sent on their way for the race. That's what we've been told in our ears, so we'll go off of that one. So it should be very exciting. The riders are very, very ready to get going. Of course, the start of race number 1 here in the LC40 Pros, the first race of the weekend here at Clay Pigeon, the 6th round of the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship. There you see Pit Bike 140 Championship leader Jamie King. Well, you did see me just disappear behind a fence in the background, but just talking to some of the riders out there. Jamie, of course, always helping out with the younger riders here at FAB and helping everyone to grow and improve as a rider, and looking for his 4th Pit Bike 140 Championship, something which he could be very much putting one hand on the trophy of this weekend. Roving marshals, and now out on the grid, it is time to go racing.
Race 1 of the weekend then about to get itself underway. The LC40 Pro class taking to the grid after a slightly short delay. They'll be heading on to the grid just to make sure everyone's there. They'll get one sighting lap to the grid, and then away we go for 10 laps of racing action. We'll talk you through the grid in a couple of moments' time. But there is a lot of intrigue surrounding this championship. The championship itself, the title itself, is on offer. And the top 3 that line up, Rex Austin, Mason Frederick, Caelan Ratcliffe, lock out the front 2 rows. Of course, 1, 2 and 3 ahead of Jensen Ansell, who completes row number 2. But there is so much potential, so much intrigue, so much suspense ahead of this championship. And the grid is very tight indeed.
It is indeed. Mason Frederick starts from pole position with Rex Austin in P2. Caelan Ratcliffe making up the big 3 on the front 3 positions on the grid, with Jensen Ansell completing the 2nd row. Great qualifying for him. Preston Baker P5 alongside Max Johnson, with Tommy Keats in 7th and Henry Brody P8. Maxwell Keats starts in 9th with Danny Longhurst rounding out our top 10. And Oliver Wilson forms our 11 bike grid, as someone's gone down there, I believe. That may have been Danny Longhurst that went down, I think. But something very, very strange happening there. That is the 23 of Henry Brody, in fact, that's gone down. So more issues. We've seen a few people go down already this weekend. More issues on the sighting lap. I'm not entirely sure what's going on out on circuit, but clearly problems for the riders. Henry Brody getting a few checks there. He's supposed to be starting not on the front row, but a little bit further back from P8, but all the other riders are on the grid. Henry Brody's managed to get his way going again, so he should be making it to the red lights.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully he's going to make the grid to 8th place. Little quick handshake there for Mason Frederick, starting on pole position, searching for his 6th win of the season, and also to close the gap in the championship. Mason Frederick is one of those riders with such potential, but it will be eyes to the lights very shortly. There you can see Henry Brody in the background, anticipating the grid and making his way back there. Of course, all the other riders, they've been waiting for quite some time, but it's nice to see that Henry Brody is ready to go ahead of 10 laps of racing.
Maybe it was tactical, let everyone else's tyres cool down, and then you get an advantage away from the lights. But the riders all in position on the grid. Flag Marshal Lee Clowes double checks with everyone. She will point to the red lights. They'll come on, they'll go off, and then we're underway in round number 6 of the 2024 FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship. We get the signal from the Flag Marshal that revs will rise and the red lights will come on. It is lights out. We are on the way. A lightning start there from Rex Austin. He sneaks in front of Mason Frederick, who will also get done by P3 on the grid. That was Caelan Ratcliffe sliding round. The 2 side by side as they make their way through Billy's Bend, but it is the 991 of Rex Austin who leads from pole sitter Frederick. Ratcliffe in P3 down the big long back straight and into the top, or the hairpin should I say, before the horseshoe. Now making their way further around. A great start there from the 991. Just got the better launch. Ratcliffe has now worked his way around Mason Frederick as well. Not the start that the number 5 would have wanted. As they come to the end of the first lap, the 991 will lead the way in the opening race of the weekend. Frederick still challenging to try and get that P2 back.
Yeah, on a championship defining weekend, this is the last thing that Mason Frederick would have wanted at all. Slight little look there from Jensen Ansell to the inside of Mason Frederick, but Caelan Ratcliffe is looking racy. So too is Mason Frederick. Dive to the inside of the S's, gets the move done, back up in his 2nd place. Nicely done there, saw the inside and capitalised as soon as he could. So Caelan Ratcliffe now once again swaps place with Mason Frederick, but they've got to be careful, because if there is one young rider in this field you do not want to let get away, it is Rex Austin.
It is indeed. So Frederick makes his way back up into P2 with Jensen Ansel holding on to that 4th place from the lights and keeping in tow of Ratcliffe now, or not Ratcliffe, no, yeah, Ratcliffe in front, should I say. Getting my riders all mixed up, it's so exciting. Coming to start the next lap, that'll be 8 to go at the line. Ratcliffe looking to the inside of Frederick a little bit there, but Frederick on the previous lap, fastest lap of the race so far, 3/10 quicker than anybody else, and maybe trying to recover from that poor start, because it looks like he's starting to go on the attack. Looks to the left now, looks to the outside. Oh, down! Big off there for the 96 of Caelan Ratcliffe into the hairpin, up on his feet. Luckily, if the bike is okay, he can rejoin the race, and it looks like that'll be the case for the number 96. With 8 laps left to go, that has ruined his chances of finishing on the podium in race number 1. What a shame for him. Now it's a two-way fight for the lead.
Potentially, that not only cost him race 1, but also a chance in the championship for Caelan Ratcliffe. You could see it coming going into that corner, just carried a bit too much speed, dropped the bike, and away it went. Unfortunate for the 96. It's a 2-horse race, though. Rex Austin versus Mason Frederick, who is looking racy, showcasing the pace that he showcased in qualifying, and is all over the rear end of the 991, ducking and diving and searching for the gap to the hairpin. Has to go to the outside, no way through. Can he get back underneath the 991? Not quite, but he switches to the inside for the horseshoe. Mason Frederick vying for the race lead, but the gap is thwarted, and there another rider is down as well. Who is that that's gone off? Not quite seen the rider number. They're down and out as well, which is such a shame for them, but 7 laps left to go, make that 6 at the line, and Mason Frederick with the acceleration is searching for the gap to turn number 1, but there is no way through. Maybe into turn 2 here at Billy's Bend, but again the number 5 just has to sit the bike up, not quite able to find the gap to the inside. Maybe into the S's where he's so strong and really commits, takes an early apex through the first part, doesn't run wide, and that pitches him so well towards the hairpin.
It does indeed. Frederick looking very, very racy, but Rex Austin holding his own at the moment in the 991, keeping that door firmly shut in the face of the number 5 as they make their way through the horseshoe and now into right hand and into the final corner at Top Bend. Frederick, again, little look to the inside as he tips the bike in. Nothing comes of it on that occasion, though. Frederick prone to take a bit more of a wider line on the exit of Top Bend. That'll give him a bit of a better run, theoretically, onto the straight, but doesn't look like that's helped him necessarily. Of course, geometric racing line isn't always the racing line that you actually need to be taking. And that looks like what's happening in that situation. There is Caelan Ratcliffe, rejoined on P7 on the road at the moment with 5 laps left to go. So doing a good job on his recovery ride at the moment. As you saw there, 22 of Jensen Ansel currently in P3. What a great result this would be for him, his first podium of the season after his return to FAB-Racing at the previous round, having been out for the first few rounds of the season from an injury sustained in training last winter. What a great return has been for Ansel so far this year. Once again, though, 4 laps left at the line. Rex Austin, in fact, just pulling that gap out a little bit further. That last lap, 3/10 quicker than Mason Frederick. Gap now at half a second. Austin potentially just starting to edge away.
3-way fight here as well as they're trying to negotiate a bit of traffic. Of course, it seems that Mason Frederick is quicker everywhere else bar that final corner, and it's costing him because he's spending the whole lap then catching up just to lose it again at that final corner. With 4 laps left to go, he really needs to sort it out if he wants to contend for the lead, or at the very least have a sniff of track position. But Rex Austin has got all of the answers to anything that's being thrown. There is the 22 of Jensen Ansel fighting his way through a bit of traffic. That is Danny Longhurst and I believe Oliver Wilson fighting for P8 on the road at the moment as well. So the top 3 working their way through quite nicely. Jensen Ansel, though, you are right, top 5 finishes at Roura. This would be his first podium in 2024, but that's being overshadowed at the moment by the fantastic battle that's on display between the top 2. Fastest lap of the race has been set by Mason Frederick, and those 2 at the top are just taking each other to further and further heights. I do not know who's going to come out on top, but it just seems that Rex Austin is so well poised in terms of his defence.
He doesn't really look that worried either. He's not going out of his way to defend as the bike hits a huge bump and almost rattles away from underneath him. Great control there from Rex Austin to stay on 2 wheels. As I was saying, though, before that moment, he looks so composed. He's not going out of his way to defend. He's just running his lines and really trying to let Mason Frederick do the talking, which Frederick, it seems, is not able to do. On to the penultimate lap of the race we go, and Austin still leads. Frederick closing in a little bit that last lap. 0.2 of a second, now separating the pair of them as they head onto the back straight on the run into the hairpin. Frederick once again looking to the outside. He's tried that a few times this race, just doesn't seem to be working. Once again into the horseshoe as well. That outside line through there just does not seem as effective as Mason Frederick wants it to be. Now right hand and into top bend, the final corner on the circuit. Again, Frederick, he can edge right up to the rear wheel of Rex Austin, then has to back off just because he can't find a way through. But he needs to find a way through quick because it's the last lap of the race.
Yeah, this is it. Rex Austin knows where Mason Frederick is going to attack, and that's why he's positioning the bike in such a way that prohibits Mason Frederick from having an open door. He's quick exactly where he needs to be. It's to partially defensive into the hairpin. Mason Frederick naturally is going to look to the outside. All it takes is one move too late on the brakes for Rex Austin. It could be all over. Mason Frederick getting all sorts of untidy on the inside, tries to find a move into the horseshoe, but there's no way through for Mason Frederick. Both of these young riders searching for their 6th win of the season, trying to get back underneath them. Mason Frederick, he's running out of time. Final corner now. He is going to be slightly quicker. It's a run to the line, but it is going to go the way. The first race of Clay Pigeon, round number 6 of FAB-Racing in 2024, goes the way of Rex Austin, who extends the gap at the front of the championship in a fantastic battle with Mason Frederick.
Respect shared there between the riders. A great fight out on the racetrack, and one that ultimately went in the championship leaders' way. What a race we have just seen to kickstart this weekend, with Rex Austin on the 911 taking the spoils, getting the better start over Frederick, and then just holding him off for the remainder of the race. It is Rex Austin who takes victory from Mason Frederick in P2. Jensen Ansell, what a fantastic result for him. He finishes in P3. Max Johnson was 4th. Caelan Ratcliffe could recover to 5th after his off earlier on. Maxwell Keats was P6, heading up Tommy Keats in 7th. Henry Brody P8 with Danny Longhurst P9. Oliver Wilson was P10. And that slightly large off that we saw earlier on, that was Preston Baker, our sole DNF from this race. The riders will head over to the boards, celebrate their victories, and then go back to the drawing board for race number 2. Perhaps none more so than Mason Frederick, because he knows, starting from pole, he didn't throw away an opportunity there, but he certainly missed out on one. And, well, he'll be wanting to know how he can move forward into tomorrow's racing. So a great result there from Rex Austin, your race winner. See the riders being congratulated, getting ready to get photographed for social media official purposes, and then they will be heading back to the awnings. Of course, if you post anything, make sure you tag FAB-Racing in it and Motorsport Radio as well. We want to see exactly what you're going on, where you're watching from, what you're doing. And, well, we hope that you're enjoying as well. AC40 Pros, race 1, done. Race number 1 of the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup about to get underway. And wow, what a championship this has been all season long. New superstars in the making in 2024. And lots of riders have been impressing us so far this year. And lots of riders, well, every time we turn up to a round, it's like we've got a new superstar on our hands. Every round, essentially, has seen someone else emerge from this grid of already incredible talent to show that they are someone we really need to keep an eye on to for the future. As we see there, pole sitter Emilio Pereira, El Toro on the left-hand side on the number 31. Currently P2 in the championship, some 24 points behind championship leader Nelly New. Again, a championship that is mathematically possible to wrap up this weekend. Chances are this is going all the way to the final round at Ella Park. But this is a great opportunity for Emilio to close that gap down and bring in some really, really strong results, because he's been not had a win really since race number 2 of round number 4 at Rowra. So he's got a big ask ahead of him coming into this one. He wants to be back on the top step of the podium. He wants to continue getting those strong points.
Yeah, exactly that. Of course, 24 points isn't impossible to close, particularly when you look at the grid. Emilio Pereira, like we say, will start from pole position, only just ahead of Tommy Williams, who is only half a tenth back in qualifying. Nelly Nuth completes the top 3. She's, of course, the championship leader, vying to extend it ahead of Jensen Cedras, who will keep her company on row 2. Freddie Taylor completes the top 5 ahead of Finley Styles. James Dermott and Joey Athasish complete row number 4, with Emerson Oakley and Austin Dilks completing the top 10. Noah Barfoot is behind that ahead of Ethan Bayless. Randy Carter ahead of Seth James for row 7. Then comes Oliver Cheeseman. Daisy Grayson for row 8 ahead of Austin Brayton there in 17th. Logan Paisley from Casey Reeson and Claudia Dudman, the 20 young rider field that we've got for the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup. Pereira this weekend is vital. Nelly Nuth has been on fire. Every single dry round that we've got, which has been everyone bar one, she has been the rider to beat. He's done the hard work in qualifying. Now he needs to keep it. We know how strong Nelly Nuth is.
Of course, and we know how quick she is away from the lights as well, so keep your eyes on that second row. But it's El Toro on pole, Tommy Williams alongside him on the right-hand side. Also in the centre, I suppose, of your pictures. Someone being wheeled off there in the background further down the grid. Hopefully they're able to rejoin this race. But that may be only a 19-bike field for this one, but the riders all lining up at the front. It should be, as always, in the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup, a race to remember. It is lights down and we are underway. Great start there from Emilio Pereira, but an even better one from Nelly Nuth. She makes her way up into second place as they come down into the opening corner at Billy's Bend. But Emilio Pereira gets the better getaway at the lights.
Yeah, very, very important indeed for Emilio Pereira. Of course, wants to get his fourth win of the season thus far, and the gap is pulling. It seems that Clay Pigeon, at least early doors, is Emilio Pereira's and El Toro's to go and capture Nelly Nuth ahead of Tommy Williams, but immediately under pressure. Look out for Jensen Cedras as well in the background, side by side, as they're fighting. I think that might be Joey Apisic versus James Dermott, looking to the inside of the left-hander. Not quite a way through on that occasion, but as we emerge out of the first lap, it will be Emilio Pereira that leads. Nelly Nuth then from Jensen Cedras, who's been able to pick his way past Tommy Williams and up into third place. Nelly Nuth, it's not often we've seen her have to race for position. This is going to be a strong learning curve for her, and immediately down the inside goes the number 2 machine of Jensen Cedras, but through goes Tommy Williams to take second place.
What a move from Tommy Williams there, capitalising on a mistake from Nuth, who ran too deep into the corner, left the door open for him to sweep on through and up into second as well. But Emilio Pereira taking the opportunity that he's got, trying to bolt away at the front of the field already in the midst of doing that, as Nelly Nuth, after that great start, just dropping back just a little bit. Of course, she's been absolutely phenomenal all season long, as back to the inside there goes Jensen Cedras. Lovely move into top bend to get back up into second place. Bit of a drag race between himself and Williams. The number 2 will hold on. But Nelly Nuth, it's not a disaster yet. She's still very much in the picture for the podium fight. I'm sure she's glad it's not raining as well. We know that she struggles a little bit in the wet. She maybe has intermittent problems in the wet, as through goes the number 51 to get back through on Jensen Cedras. Lovely stuff. We've got a great battle for second place on our hands. To the outside goes Cedras. Can't quite find the gap we've seen in previous races. That outside line, it's one you shouldn't really be trying to take, because it doesn't really gain you anything. If anything, if you're following another rider into the hairpin and horseshoe sections, just stick to your line, hold on to it, set up the move for top bend, which we try and see here. 35. That's the 35 of Oliver Chesman, who's gone down. Frustrated, angry, disappointed and out. What a shame for Oliver. But the race continues. Cedras to the inside of Tommy Williams. Through he goes once again, but Williams with the switchback gets it done, holds on to P2.
Important to note that, of course, Clay Pigeon, it's been something that every rider has touched on, especially the MiniMoto riders. No suspension on them, of course, so they've not got any form of shock absorption, no form of bump absorption, and any single small disturbance around it is going to unsettle them quite a lot, and that is costing the number 2 of Jensen Cedras. You saw there just the handlebars shaking, having to keep the bike planted on the floor, and that is what Tommy Williams is capitalising off. As soon as Jensen Cedras gets a lap in clean air, he's immediately back up the inside of that final corner. He's up in a second place quite nicely, but look into this corner here at Billy's Bend, going through turn 1, then into 2, big bump, and then obviously on that left hand side going into the S's. It's something that he's going to need to sort out and learn, because if he has to if the bike's unsettled, he needs to sit the bike up and sort it out and back off. That is immediately then how Tommy Williams is going to capitalise. 5 laps left to go in this race, and it's Pereira's to lose.
Just seeing as well, just wondering, of course, we've seen a few riders struggle and have offs already this weekend. There's also a lot of tarmac changes here at Clay Pigeon, a lot of splits in the track where the tarmac's been put down. I wonder if that's having an effect, and again with no suspension, that's just going to make things even worse. There we see James Dermott and Finlay Stiles fighting currently for P5, the 27, leading the number 19 as they make their way through right hand and into top bend, the final corner of the circuit. And they will start their next lap now. A little bit of a tighter line there from the number 19, trying to see if he can get the bike sat up earlier, get more power, more traction down onto the racetrack. did help him close up a little bit, but on that occasion, nothing came into fruition. So holding on at the moment is Styles, or James Dermott, should I say, for that P5. 11 points he'll be picking up if he's able to finish in that position come the checkered flag at the end of this one. But that being said, Styles isn't just going to hand it to him. He's having looks here and there. He's putting the pressure on. Styles clearly feels like he's got the pace to get through. He now just needs to execute that plan, make the move. But of course, time ticking. Soon to be only 3 laps left to run. He's got to find a way through soon.
Yeah, exactly. Opportunities are going to be wearing thin and time is of the essence. So let's keep track of how these young riders are getting on. Of course, that is the battle that we're talking about. James Dermott versus Finley Styles. Ready to go at the line. Pereira has a bit of lap traffic to deal with. Of course, this Rookies Cup is exactly that. A lot of these riders, some of them taking to the track for the very, very first time or the second or third time. Not a lot of experience under their belt at all. And we've got 20 bikes taking to the grid. It is going to get busy, but Emilio Pereira and his experience, he is bolting his way through, charging his way through El Toro fashion. 2 laps left to go at the line. 4 seconds clear of Jenson Cedras, who himself has still got Tommy Williams for company. Nelly Knuth, uncharacteristically, struggling a little bit in the dry running.
Yeah, it's not been Nelly Knuth's race so far, as there we see Cedras and Williams making their way through the traffic as well, lapping it with audacity and integrity and just sliding on through. Lovely stuff there. Of course, no blue flags here at FAB-Racing. You've got to make your own way through, and that's why, especially the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup, where there can be quite a lot of traffic, it oh so often just flips races on their head on the penultimate lap. And this one, though, looks like everybody making their way through cleanly. Tommy Williams looking close to the back of Cedras once again, maybe trying to set a move up as they head through the hairpin and into right bend. But Emilio Pereira, he's coming through top bend to start his final lap of the race. The number 31 has an absolutely almighty lead behind him. This has been a wonderful, wonderful ride, as we've got a couple of riders actually down there at turn number 2 at Billy's Bend. Hopefully everyone okay. As I was saying though, for 31, he got a good getaway, just hasn't looked back. 4.7 seconds at the line last time. As he brings this one home, he will be very, very happy, and be even happier to be closing in that gap in the championship.
Yeah, he is going to halve it. 12 points he's going to gain. A win gets you 25. 4th place, which is where Nelly Knuth is sat, gets you 13. The gap is 24 points. Keep this up, and he could be going into Ella Park as the championship favourite, but that is not what is on his mind right now. He is looking eyes forward to the checkered flag for the 4th time this season. El Toro sees it first and takes victory for the AC40 Rookies FAB-Racing Cup here at Clay Pigeon. What a ride it was for the 31. Jenson Cedras and Tommy Williams complete the podium in what could be a championship pivotal race. El Toro, he's proud of that one.
On a rampage once again is Emilio Pereira. What a great ride from the main championship challenger in the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup. And what a performance, what a result for him. Emilio Pereira takes a fantastic victory. Jenson Cedras comes home in P2 with Tommy Williams rounding out our podium. P4, Nelly Knuth with Finley Styles in 5th. Austin Dilks in P6 with Freddy Taylor 7th. Joey Athasich brought it home in P8 with P9, Ethan Bayliss. And Noah Barfoot rounding out the top 10. Seth James was 11th with Randy Carter P12. Daisy Grayson 13th with Logan Paisley in 14th. Austin Baton in P15 with Claudia Dubman in 16th. James Dermott set to finish P17 with Casey Reese in 18th. Unfortunately, we did lose Oliver Cheeseman and Emerson Oakley. So that is race 1 done and dusted in the FAB-Racing AC40 Rookies. A great race for us to enjoy there, and maybe an interesting weekend on our cards. Maybe this weekend is the one where Emilio Pereira retakes the lead of the championship, takes back control of this series, heading towards into the final round. Could be very, very interesting to watch heading forward across the remainder of our 2 races that we have set for Sunday's action. Of course, all of the race 1s here on Saturday, followed by our race 2s and race 3s on Sunday here at Clay Pigeon. Should be one to watch out for. Should be one that's very, very exciting indeed moving forward. But the riders now in the holding area, top 3 behind the boards, getting their photos taken for social media and for pride, so they can show all their friends and show how cool they are. But what a performance that was from Emilio Pereira. Tommy Williams and Jenson Cedras as well. What a great ride from them, rounding out our podium. Senior Minimotos then race number 1 for the big men on little bikes. The championship that often provides drama, chaos, and more often than not some humour along the way. And a wonderfully big grid as well this weekend here at FAB-Racing. Should be very interesting to see how it's all going to unfold. And this one, of course, at the last rounds, the doubleheader weekend at Rowra, we saw a new challenger enter the fray, shall we say. David Myatt, who taken 1 win and 1 podium, and in a string of decent points results, it must be said, across Ella Park and Three Sisters. He did not come into the championship at Lid. 5 wins and a 3rd place. That man was unstoppable last time out. Maybe this time, championship leader Matt Birkin feels like he needs to put him back in his place a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah, Matt Birkin, obviously, he's had suffered some issues. Obviously, Ella Park, was it him that dropped it on the final lap? Yeah, that was a Matt Birkin thing to do. Three Sisters, he had some issues with the clutch and chain and stuff as well, so not an ideal race for him either. They're going to be sent round for their formation lap, so let's talk you through the grid, shall we? It is the championship leader, Matt Birkin, that assumes pole position narrowly. Well, I say narrowly, it's a 1-second gap down to Rhys Gentry, who will join him on row 1. Will Howarth returning on the 96 ahead of David Myatt, who completes row 2. Then there's Chris Yeomans in 5th ahead of Callum White, that's row 3. Mark Payne ahead of Keats and Payne for an all-Payne row 4. Let's hope they're not going to be having a painful race. Nick Bennett from George Rennicks for the top 10. Lamar Morgan and Gary Eldridge is row 6. Isaac Greenstreet from Ross Michael and Steve Johns is the top 15. And then just off the timer page, Rob Gentry in 16th. To round off an 8-row rider field for what is going to be 10 laps of senior Minimoto racing. I have to say, so far this season, it has been one of the most interesting classes. Big men on little bikes, ready to race. 6 wins apiece for the top 2 in the championship. 33 points. You might look at that and go, that's a big gap. But realistically, it's not. One poor showing from Matt Birkin, and immediately David Myatt is there ready to pounce. So let's see what's in store. Matt Birkin, though, he's got it all to lose on pole position by a second.
Yeah, he's feeling confident. His lap time ridiculously quick as well. Let's see if this one is as easy as Matt Birkin hopes it will be. But Rhys Gentry wants to try and challenge. Keep your eye out from Will Howarth as well on the 96 returning this weekend. And of course, David Myatt, the new Minimoto superstar in P4, looks set to take him to the challenge. It is lights out and we are underway. Great launch away there from Rhys Gentry. Does he able to get through Matt Birkin? No. Matt Birkin actually down to 3rd, heading down into Big Ben. Now works his way up into 2nd. Who was that was dropping back? I think that was the 22 of David Myatt, who got a disappointing entry into turn number 2 as the 100 of Rhys Gentry leads. But as I say that, through goes Matt Birkin. So it's all chop and change on the opening lap here at Clay Pigeon. Birkin went from 1st to 2nd away at the lights, 2nd to 3rd on the entry into Billy's Bend, and now back into the lead of the race as the riders all maintain status quo across the remainder of the field. Now looks like Will Howarth trying to challenge Rhys Gentry coming onto the front straight. They'll complete the first lap. Birkin leads from Gentry. David Myatt, or Will Howarth in P3, David Myatt dropping down to P4, but holding at the back of this pack as he tried to go the long way around of Will Howarth. Howarth squeezed him out, couldn't make it work with Myatt, but we seemingly looks like we've got a 3-way fight for 2nd in our hands as Matt Birkin gradually starts to disappear into the distance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 5 podiums thus far this season for Will Howarth coming into this one, so there is plenty of intrigue for him. He's a fantastic rider in of himself and wants to, of course, get himself firmly up on that podium list. Looks to the inside of the right-hander, not quite close enough on that occasion, but a good look nonetheless. He has got to be careful, though, because 5-time winner of Rowra of David Myatt is right behind him. Another fastest lap set for Matt Birkin as he increases the lead out in front. 42.814, getting tantalisingly close to that lap record. Less than half a second in it now between Matt Birkin and, of course, Bernie Hook that set it back 5 years ago. Bit of a wobble there from the 100 of Rhys Gentry. Through goes Will Howarth to take 2nd place.
Just goes to show when you're pushing this hard, any little mistake can be capitalised on. Through goes Will Howarth. David Myatt now all over the back of the 100 as well. Not only does it knock your momentum, it just knocks your confidence a little bit as well. and that can just send you flying backwards. Maya unable to capitalise on this occasion though, unable to find his way through as Will Howarth starts to just get a bit of breathing room behind him. Further behind them as well, battles everywhere you look. Chris Yeomans and Callum White doing justice to the senior Minimotos as they trade places, trade blows every single corner. Still though, 7 laps left to run. The 96 holds on from the 100, holds on from the 22. Howarth, Gentry, Mayat, P2, P3, P4. Matt Birkin still leads up the front as there we see the 711 of Nick Bennett in a bit of traffic here. He's got Chris Yeomans and Callum White in front, Keaton Payne behind as well, and actually very, very close to them, Mark Payne. So a bit of a battle starting to form here as looking to the inside went Keaton Payne, but couldn't quite make it work. Nick Bennett, once again Keaton Payne looking to the inside on Nick Bennett, who's having a pretty disappointing race by his standards. He'll be trying to move forward, but he's trying to absorb all this pressure while trying to attack. It seems like everywhere he looks as the bike complains, protests, wobbles away underneath him. He just can't work his way through.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FAB-Racing in 2024 and welcome to the Senior Minimotos. If this is your first time joining us, what a race to jump into. Of course, these guys, big men on little bikes, providing all of the action here at Clay Pigeon, one of the best circuits in the UK for karting and mini bikes alike. 6 laps left to go, make that 5.5 as they run their way through. Matt Birkin leads from Howarth, from Gentry. That's the top 3. Then comes David Meyer, and then comes a very close battle from Callum White, Chris Yeomans, and then Nick Bennett and Keaton Payne, the top 8. The 112 there you can see is Keaton Payne trying to close in on the 711 of Nick Bennett, who is in fact a race winner so far. In fact, no, he's not. He's a podium sitter thus far this season, and a number of top 5s as well to fall back on. The 711 has showcased a brilliant display of pace. He wants to add to that tally of top 5 finishes, but Keaton Payne is not going to let him breathe at all. Inside line as they run their way to the hairpin.
Nice stuff there from Keaton Payne to slide on through, and maybe trying to pick off another. He does pick off another. Keaton Payne, 2 corners, 2 moves, 2 positions. He slides through. Chris Yeomans as well. That is brilliant stuff from the 112 as he heads round Big Bend, top bend should I say, and onto the main straight. Unfortunately, all those guys fighting has been Callum White, has now got 1.2 seconds back to him. So given Callum White some breathing room down in P5, there was still a huge battle on for P6. That was awesome though from Keaton Payne. 2 moves and 2 corners. Brilliant stuff as they make their way back towards the hairpin and the horseshoe. Chris Yeomans now under real pressure from the 711 of Nick Bennett. Mark Payne waiting patiently behind, but a man who's under no pressure whatsoever, Matt Birkin, up the front of the pack, a 42.506, edging ever closer to that lap record set by Mr. Minimoto himself, Bernie Hook, all the way back in 2019. But it's not quite on lap record pace yet as he makes his way around some traffic as there's a change for second place as well. David Meyer up in front now of Will Howard. He's recovered from that disappointing start, that disappointing turn 2, and is now up onto the second step of the podium.
I mean, it was an initially really good start for David Meyer. It's just from then on, he ran wide and didn't quite have the grip and then fell back, but now he's picked himself up, but the damage is done. It's a little, too little, too late sort of thing for David Meyer. I say only P2 is the best he's going to get. Still fantastic result nonetheless, if he's able to keep it with 2 laps left to go. David Meyer looking to tick off his 9th podium of the season. Matt Birkin looking to tick off his 12th and to go with it, his 7th win of 2024 in what has been a brilliant championship campaign for the number 5. A lap and a half left to go. Can Will Howarth tip David Meyer for second place? I mean, Will Howarth, don't get me wrong, he's very, very good, but the form that Meyer is on in the recent weeks, he's going to be hard to beat.
I want to know what Witch Doctor David Meyer did to unlock this pace, because just this year he's come alive out on the racetrack, and it's such a joy to watch him when he's riding on the absolute limit. Oh, and yeah, he's just really quick as well. Final lap of the race though for race leader Meyer and Howard following through. Gentry's dropped quite a bit back actually from that lead pair, and actually is that Reece Gentry coming through there? No, it's not. What's happened to... Oh, no, it is Reece Gentry's come through. I think he's just hit a bit of a problem coming through the penultimate lap, because he's dropped massively back from Will Howarth and David Meyer, but there, of course, the man of the moment. Who else would it be? The number 5 rounds the horseshoe for the final time with only a few corners left to go. The gap 4 seconds. Dominance has been established once again for the championship leader. Matt Birkin is back on top in the senior mini-motos. He will win race number 1 here at Clay Pigeon with a fantastic ride as David Myatt brings it home in P2, just half a second ahead of Will Howarth in P3. But the man of the moment, Matt Birkin, jubilations are due tonight because that was a win as good as they come.
Exactly that. Matt Birkin, perfect. Just clinical from the get-go, put it on pole by a second and ran away with it from the start. Waved to the camera as well in celebration. And what a ride it was for the championship leader, who extends it even further now to 38 points. Let's run you through the entirety of the results then for race 1 of round 6 of FAB-Racing and the senior mini-motos. Matt Birkin takes victory ahead of David Myatt, once again conquering himself at the top of the mini-moto class. Will Howarth completes the podium ahead of Rhys Gentry and Callum White. Keats and Payne just missing out in what was a very hard-fought battle for the final places inside the top 5. Nick Bennett just 1/1000th clear of Chris Yeomans in the fight for 7th. That must have been a run to the line. Mark Payne from Gary Eldridge, that's the entirety of the top 10. Ahead of that comes Isaac Greenstreet, Lamar Morgan, Ross Michaels, Steve Johns, Rob Gentry, the top 15, and an unfortunate DNF for George Rennings, who would not make our 16th and final rider of the finishing order. Unfortunately did not quite take to it, get to the checkered flag. But in the end, a fantastic battle for second and below for the senior mini-moto. 2 more to come over the duration of this weekend. Make sure you're tuning in tomorrow over Sunday to watch more senior mini-moto action.
Race number 1 then for the LC40 Elite, and boy oh boy should this be exciting. Of course, brought to you by OH Logistics. It's been an interesting season for the Elites, guys. We've had changes all across the championship. We've had riders unfortunately having to withdraw from the championships due to injuries. And well, we've been, as always, in the OH Logistics LC40 Elites, we've been seeing riders pushed to the absolute limit. The premier class of junior mini-moto racing here at FAB. And despite the fact that the bike you are allowed to use, the liquid-cooled 40 bike, which is a little bit more powerful than your standard air-cooled 40 mini-moto that are the R of the championships use, you are allowed to enter this championship with an air-cooled bike, which is what a lot of the grid does. However, problem is that coming into this one, it just unfortunately doesn't always work out that well for those on the air-cooled machinery. The riders then on the grid getting ready to go on their sighting lap. Away they do go. See the front 2 there. It's been very, very close between the pair of them all season. Logan Cousins and Mason Frederick, of course. It is Cousins on pole with Frederick alongside. Rex Austin starts third with Caelan Ratcliffe in P4. Denton Anselin-Smith with Max Johnson in P6. Preston Baker starts in 7th with Tommy Keats in P8. Maxwell Keats is 9th. Danny Longhurst in P10. And Oliver Wilson rounds out our 11-rider grid in this one. So, should be very, very exciting, Zach Sweeney, but again, the question is, Logan Cousins, he's been the dominant force this year. He's on the liquid cool bike. Everyone else is trying to fight and push to him on the air cool bike, and that's not to take away from Cousins' ability. But, you know, when you've got the machinery, it's a big advantage. Can anyone try and catch him?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. This is one of the championships that can be wrapped up this weekend. Only 4 points needed for Logan Cousins to outscore Mason Frederick for him to take the championship. But like you say with the liquid cooled, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So you've given him the machinery. What is he going to do with it? And he has executed 10 race wins, 12 podiums, 12 top 5s, 2 DNFs to his name, but that has not taken anything away from the championship. So let's see what's in store. A close fight for second at the very least with the rest of the field. It will be eyes to the lights, of course. Logan Cousins on pole, Mason Frederick back on the bike, back alongside. Race 1 of LC40 Elites, brought to you by OH Logistics. Lights on, let's go racing. Good start from pole position as Logan Cousins assumes the lead into turn number 1. Caelan Ratcliffe able to get the jump on Rex Austin, potentially up in the 3rd place as well. We saw him early on, had an early crash. He's up into the podium places. Look at Mason Frederick. This is potentially one of the circuits where the air-cooled bike could pose a challenge to the liquid-cooled bike. So let's see what Mason Frederick is able to do. With early doors, it's Logan Cousins who's got an early lead.
Of course, Logan Cousins could be walking away this weekend with the OH Logistics LC40 Elite Championships. 75 points is the gap that he needs at the end of race number 3. Currently, heading into race number 1, it sits at 71. So all he needs to do is just have some strong points finishes, outscore Mason Fedrick by 4 points across the weekend, and he is golden and on top of the MiniMoto world. Currently, great start to the weekend for him. Leads the way by a second already at the end of lap 1 from his rival Mason Fedrick, with Caleb Ratcliffe up into P3. Logan Cousins doing exactly what he needs to do to get his hands on that trophy.
Yeah, exactly that. Of course, right now, this race would give him more than the 4 points he needs. So if he's able to win this race, he would get into a 76-point lead. And then all he needs to do is stay ahead of Fedrick for the rest of the weekend, and the championship is his tomorrow morning. Logan Cousins, let's see what he can do. Let's see if he's able to get near that lap record pace. Of course, it's a 41.502 by Ryan Hitchcock back in 2020. After the first flying lap, it's a 42.2, so only 7/10 of a second off. 8 laps left to go at the line. Fedrick is just settling in now. Oh no, down! Goodness me, into turn number 2. Who is that that's gone off? It might well be the 991 of Rex Austin. Indeed it is. Race winner of the AC40 Pro class a little bit earlier on. Down. Is he out of this race?
Clay Pigeon looks like it may have claimed another victim. The bike is up and looks okay. Something just not quite right on the leathers, I don't think. It was the roving marshal trying to help him adjust something there. Up the front, though, Logan Cousins, championship leader, unaffected by the troubles behind. Mason Fedrick still within earshot of the Cousins, it must be said. And on that previous lap, set his personal best, but the gap still extends 1.7 seconds at the line. So Cousins, ever so slightly, just eking away, extending that gap. Again, Clay Pigeon, it's a track where you can't really lose a lot of time just because of how short it is. You know, only 815 metres, shortest track on the FAB-Racing calendar. So Cousins doing a great job just to get a 10th or 2 every single lap, just slowly pull away. Mason Fedrick, though, is not giving up. He's still pushing very, very hard. You can see the bike moving underneath him, complaining over the bumps as he heads around top bend and onto the main straight. This will make it 6 laps left to go. Behind them, Caleb Ratcliffe could be in the clutches of Jensen Ansel here. Rex Austin, of course, potentially down and out, possibly being able to rejoin the race. But, yeah, Caleb Ratcliffe, only 3/10 away as Jensen Ansel. Ansel, on his second weekend back to FAB-Racing after injury, is having a storming time so far.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, a couple of top 5s over the duration of Rowra, as well as the 96 of Ratcliffe. Moves his way through on Ansel, so takes that podium back off him. So Ansel is searching for it. Ratcliffe trying to close some ground to Rex Austin in the championship as well. 47 points between them, and right now he would be gaining a quite significant amount on him. If he's able to keep P3, that's 16 points ahead of what would be just 5 for Austin. Austin is losing ground for the runners-up spot in the championship to Fedrick as well. That gap was 11 points and he was looking to close it, but now Fedrick, if it's not going to be the overall championship, second place is not too bad going at all, considering he's in contention for the Pro Championship as well. So an incredible season in 24 for Fedrick, but let's focus on this fight. Half the race still to run. Ratcliffe versus Ansel for the final place on the podium.
As it stands, Caleb Ratcliffe just about holding on, but Jensen Ansel, we've seen him get through before. We might see him get through again. Looking very composed is the number 22, but as is the 96 of Ratcliffe in front. Doing a great job to hold off at the moment. But Ansel looks happy just to sit and wait for the opportunity to appear. He's not going to waste time trying to attack. Not going to waste time and maybe make a mistake, which would drop him back even further. He's much more happy just to sit, follow, wait for the mistake to come from Ratcliffe and Cunt, wait for the gap to appear, and then he can move on through. 4 laps left to go in the opening race of the OH Logistics LC40 Elite Championship. And, well, it's been very, very interesting. Cousins leads by 3.5 seconds from Fedrick. Ratcliffe and Ansel, though, inseparable for this final podium place. Another little look to the inside there from Ansel. Just poking a wheel, seeing if he can make anything appear, but wasn't quite close enough to launch an attack on that occasion. Still very much just happy following Caleb Ratcliffe. Happy to sit, wait for the move. As Ratcliffe now rounds top bend, the lap times they're just so fast round here, these MiniMotos. Again, it is a short track, but lap times around 42, 43 seconds. The laps just fly on by. 3 laps left to run, and still Ratcliffe holding on.
Yeah, exactly. Can he hold on, though, for 3 laps left to go? Because you can be in front for the entirety of the race, but if you're not in front of that run to the line, I know it's obvious, but you don't get the podium. So Jensen Ansel has still got time to relax and approach this battle with some nice, a little bit of patience. Every lap that goes by, he's gathering data and says, okay, I'm quicker here, slightly off the pace here. What can I do with that? Where can I attack? And right now, for the final 3 laps, he's going to have to put that data into practice, make that 2 laps as they run their way through the final corner if he wants that trophy for race number 1 of the OH Logistics LC40 Elite class. Penultimate lap of the race. Ratcliffe, though, looks fairly secure in that third place. I mean, he's not having to defend, he's not having to fight too hard. That 26 of Danny Longhurst, though, might pose a bit of a problem if he slows him down too much.
Yeah, of course, traffic causes chaos. Ansel, though, looks like he was more held up as Danny Longhurst. I think Ansel just tried to go to the inside. Longhurst tried to move over at the same time. Again, no blue flags. Longhurst was just trying to be nice and get out of the way of these two, and unfortunately I think it actually compromised Ansel a little bit more than it did Ratcliffe. Not cost him too much though. Still very much on the back of the number 96. Final lap of the race for the race leader Logan Cousins. Soon to be final lap of the race for these two. Time's running out for Jensen Ansel to find his way through. Logan Cousins though, a lovely Saturday afternoon ride for him, but a barnstorming one at that. 4.6 seconds up the line last time for the championship leader. If this weekend finished after this race, we would be crowning him champion. Again, we're not going to just yet. 75 points is the gap that he needs. After this one, if my math serves me correctly, it'll be around 76. Rounds the final corner then, the number 7 takes home the victory. What a ride for Logan Cousins. The number 7, phenomenal performance, wins race number 1 in the OH Logistics LC40 Elite. Looks back, sees no one. He knows he's done a good job. To the line though, Caelan Ratcliffe will just hold on to P3 from Jensen Ansel, who hounded him from the lights to the flag. That was close between the pair of them, but the 96 ultimately held on to finish off the podium.
Logan Cousins is now in championship winning stead. If he's able to maintain this gap throughout the weekend and loses no positions to Mason Frederick, the LC40 Elite OH Logistics Championship in 2024 is going to go the way of the number 7. It is a possibility this weekend, and it's a very, very real prospect indeed. Let's take a look as to how things racked up after 10 laps of racing. Logan Cousins, 4.8 seconds was the winning margin ahead of Mason Frederick. Caelan Ratcliffe completes the podium. Jensen Ansel, in what was a hard-fought fight, just shy, a quarter of a second off trophy in race number 1. Max Johnson, the top 5 ahead of Tommy Keats and Maxwell Keats. Danny Longhurst, 8th in the end for the young female rider, with Oliver Wilson completing the last of our finishing riders, with Preston Baker and Rex Austin not classified after race number 1. That is it for the LC40 Elite class in Saturday, but we will see them again over tomorrow for 2 more bits of racing for round number 6 of FAB-Racing in 2024 for what could be Logan Cousins. Rex Austin is in the pros. He's going to be looking for championship winning glory potentially at Ella Park in a couple of weeks' time, but it could well be Logan Cousins' day to shine. What a Sunday that would be to win the OH Logistics LC40 Elite Championship. We'll see them again tomorrow. Race number 1 of the Pit Bike 140 Championship is about to get itself underway. A class that has seen a lot of intrigue and all eyes are on it, as it usually is coming into race 1 of their weekend. Of course, Jamie King, 3-time Pit Bike 140 FAB champion, is leading the way coming into this weekend. 56 points clear of Chris Wells, who isn't here this weekend. So the Pit Bike 140 Championship is well in the grasp of Pit Bike Sonic. What a vlog that would make for if he's able to seal his 4th here at Clay Pigeon. But returning faces of the Pit Bike 140, a huge grid in offer for the Pit Bikes here at Clay Pigeon, 15 riders strong, and it's going to be returning champion Taylor Lawrence that assumes pole position ahead of Jamie King. Pit Bike Sonic in P2. Simon Gates ahead of Ollie Horner, that's the top 2 rows. Keaton Payne on the 112, that's the top 5. Bailey Lawrence, she showcased some great talent at Rowra, getting a couple of podiums ahead of Dan Gilbert. Sean Whittaker, the top 4 rows. Nigel Dukes ahead of Ben Dudman, that's the top 10. Rory Jones ahead of Adam Harris. Duncan Diper ahead of Richard Holmes Williams, who's returning once again after a stint at Rowra, ahead of Michael Collis. Our 15 rider field for 12 laps of the Pit Bike 140 Championship in 2024. And Ross, A lot of eyes on this championship. Potentially the title being taken this weekend by Jamie King, potentially even in this race if he's able to get second place.
Of course, 75 points is the gap that he needs at the end of this weekend. And well, technically it could still, Keats and Payne could still get involved, but it's unlikely. Jamie King starts from second. Taylor Lawrence on pole position. It is lights out, and we are underway. A bit of a disappointing start for King as Lawrence rockets away from pole. It's like the 2021 champion never left as he assumes the lead. Coming through Billy's Bend and now into the S's as they fly through. Jamie King holds on to second place. Behind him, the 1-1-2 of Keats and Payne up into P3. Great start there from him. Ollie Horner and Simon Gates seemingly just didn't get the getaway that they quite wanted as they now head into the horseshoe, round right bend and into top bend, and that'll be lap 1 done and dusted. This huge grid of pit bikes slowly but surely making their way round to complete lap number 1. Top 2 of Lawrence and King already starting to pull away from the pack. We've had many a brilliant battle before in pit bikes, but they seem set to have more fantastic battles this weekend. Lawrence holding on in front of the 76, bouncing his way over the curbs. This is maybe an opportunity for Pit Bike Sonic, but can't quite find the gap around the outside of the hairpin as they go into the horseshoe. Again, no dive bombs. King prefers to leave the bike, just sat up a little bit more under braking. Lawrence hanging off Marc Marquez style as he wrestles the thing on the brakes around the corner into the final corner. Once again, 10 laps to go at the line this time. The top 4 all still fairly together, although, as I said, Lawrence and King starting to break away. But Simon Gates and Ollie Horner, P3 and P4, Keats and Payne, after that rocket ship start, falling back into P5 for an unfortunate reason, it would seem. But they continue to work their way round. Look at how smooth Taylor Lawrence again. It's like he never even left. He just looks like he belongs out on a pit bike here at FAB-Racing, doing a great job leading this race.
Champion versus champion with 10 laps left to go. Taylor Lawrence leads Jamie King. This is fantastic content for Pit Bike Sonic on that 76 machine. They make it 9 to go at the line, and the 76 once again in hot pursuit into Billy's Bend, trying to take as wide a line as possible to get the exit into the S's, but no way through for Jamie King on this time by Simon Gates, actually opening the gates for potentially race-winning contention with the fastest lap of the race, a 40.0 in what is turning into a 4-bike train for the lead.
This is spectacular stuff. To the inside goes Jamie King, muscles his way through. What a move by the 76 to get through. Champion against champion, and the 3-time pips the 1-time as they make it 8 laps to go. The 76 to the lead of the race, but as these two are fighting, here comes Simon Gates, here comes Ollie Horner as they all close in, heading into Billy's Bend. And now we've got a monster of a race on our hand. King, Lawrence, Gates, Horner, you couldn't fit a razor blade between them. Looking to the inside, there goes the number 10 of Taylor Lawrence, as there we see returning to FAB-Racing this weekend as well, a former face of Ollie Horner. Lawrence looks like he might have squeezed through, but King holds the inside through the horseshoe to maintain his lead. 7 laps left to go at the line, and this is a brilliant battle we've got on our hands. The 76 lead from the 10, but on a weekend where Jamie King could wrap up the championship, this is exactly what he needs.
This is sensational. 7 laps left to go, and once again the Pit Bike 140 Championship is writing a classic battle in FAB-Racing. The 172 looks to the inside of the S's, but no way through as the 4 bikes are nose to tail for race number 1 here at Clay Pigeon. Jamie King has taken 2 race victories thus far this season, and not one of them was quite as hotly contested as this one. He has got a battle on his hands all the way to the checkered flag. Taylor Lawrence is not going to let him breathe, and the pressure could well be insurmountable. It will definitely be unrelenting all the way through turn 1 once again, and no way through for Taylor Lawrence. Jamie King is able to hold firm at the front and just positioning the bike exactly where it needs to be to keep that momentum up, the change of direction. I have to say, this is the best I think Jamie King has ridden all season.
This is sensational stuff. He knows what is at stake here. He knows his 4th Pit Bike Championship is within his grasp this weekend. and all he's got to do is just pick up some solid points, but he wants to do one better. He wants to take it while being on the top step of the podium. This is set to be, if he finishes where he is now, his first race win of the season since Three Sisters, his third win of the season as well. But it's not over yet. Taylor Lawrence is right with him, as is Simon Gates, as is Ollie Horner. Simon Gates' fastest lap last time round, the 39.892. That is ridiculously quick from the 172, and getting closer and closer to that lap record set by Ryan Tyres in 2022. This is awesome stuff between four of the best pit bike riders you can find anywhere in the world. Soon to be 4 laps left to go. King leads from Lawrence, Simon Gates in P3 and Ollie Horner in P4.
Bring it on. 4 laps to go at the line. 4 riders in contention, and yet there is one trophy for the lead. Taylor Lawrence takes it into turn number 1, keeps Jamie King at bay for turn number 2. Beautifully done, it must be said, from the number 10, who takes it just before the timing line and is back into the lead of the race. 4 laps left to go for Pit Bike 140, race number 1, here for round 6 of FAB-Racing in 24, and Jamie King is immediately trying to launch a counter-attack, but there's no way through. Taylor Lawrence caught him napping going into turn 1, seized the moment and took the lead of the race.
To win the championship in this race, Jamie King needs to win and needs Keats and Payne to drop down the order. If King wins and Payne finishes 5th, Jamie King misses out on the title by 2 points. If he finishes where they are now, the gap will be 118. He needs 125 at the end of this race to claim the title. So it may not be going Jamie King's way in this one. But with no Chris Wells here, this is definitely one hand on the trophy as they start to enter a bit of traffic. That was the number 129 of Duncan Diaper as they work their way through. We've lost a few riders in this race, unfortunately. Lost Michael Collis, Richard Holmes-Williams, Nigel Dukes and Sean Whittaker, who's just been so focused on this spectacular lead battle. We haven't had time to breathe, to blink, to think. We just see what's going on and we cannot believe our eyes, because it's Lawrence, King, Gates, Horner taking it all the way to the checkered flag. Penultimate lap of the race starts now as they encounter more traffic. Lawrence still leading. Can Jamie King respond, or maybe can Simon Gates or Ollie Horner get involved?
This is the turning point for not only this race but potentially the championship as well. 2 laps left to go and Pit Bike Sonic is in hot pursuit. Both of them are champions of this series, both of them wanting to once again taste the sweetness of victory. A lap and a half left to run. The green leathers of Lawrence leads the way. In hot pursuit though is the blue of Pit Bike Sonic, charging his way towards what would be his 3rd race victory of 2024 in pursuit of his 4th title. They are around the final corner for the penultimate time. 1 lap left to go. Jamie King needs an answer.
Taylor Lawrence, it's like he never left. Back up in the front in those bright green leathers. Close your eyes and it's 2021 all over again. The number 10 holding off from Pit Bike Sonic on the number 76, but more traffic coming their way as they head into the hairpin for the final time. Lawrence brave, so is King. Looks like Simon Gates and Ollie Horner able to follow as well. Lawrence brave this time. King isn't able to slide through the traffic. That is it, done and dusted maybe. No, King's still there. One final opportunity, but he may be too far back. He is too far back. First time round, first time back. Taylor Lawrence is on top once again. The number 10 takes the victory in race 1 of the Pit Bike 140s. What a way to bring yourself back into the FAB-Racing fold. And what a race. Action-packed from start to finish. But the number 10, the 2021 Pit Bike 140 champion, Taylor Lawrence, you know he is delighted. You know he deserved it. And you know he's showing that he hasn't lost an ounce of his talent.
The King returns. That is it for Taylor Lawrence. Let's take a look as to how things racked up then after 12 laps of hard racing. Big smiles for Taylor Lawrence as he takes the victory ahead of Jamie King, who is so close to the championship title for 2024. Simon Gates in 3rd, ahead of Ollie Horner. Keats and Payne in 5th, just doing enough to hang on. Dan Gilbert in 6th ahead of Bailey Lawrence. Then comes Ben Dudman on that 888 machine, finishing in 8th place. Rory Jones from Adam Harris is the top 10. Duncan Diaper completes the rider field that we had with 4 DNFs of Whittaker, Dukes, Holmes-Williams and Michael Collis to round off what would have been a sensationally large 15 rider field for Pit Bike 140. But Jamie King and that 4th title is close.
The gap now only I should say, is 118 points between himself and Keats and Payne, with Chris Wells not here this weekend. That's the championship fight. Essentially, to take it to race number 3, Keats and Payne has to score 19 points or more than Jamie King. He's essentially got to finish second or above and hope King doesn't win the race. Wow, what brilliant action in the pit bikes. Race number 1 in the MiniGP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre, is up next. And boy, oh boy, what a treat it is to be here at Clay Pigeon. We've seen some absolutely spectacular racing all weekend, and I'm sure the 50s is set to be the absolute same, and they continue to put the pressure on, continue to keep pushing. Of course, Frankie Watson will be starting from the pole position, 36 points behind championship leader Byron Johnson, who's only able to qualify P4 heading into this one. Disappointing there for the championship leader. Sebastian Goslavsky with a great qualifying into P3 as well. Should be interesting to see how it all unfolds, but for now, it's going to be tight. Watson, Shaw, Goslavsky, Johnson, your top 4. Those guys are looking pretty quick, to say the least. They should be out there pushing hard and putting on a great display for us.
Yeah, exactly that. Frankie Watson is on top 4 and potentially is in the shout for the championship. 36 points separates Byron Johnson from Frankie Watson. Travis Shaw only 7 points back on that in what is such a close fight for the top 3. The only 3 to win a race thus far in the 50s. It's 5 for Byron Johnson. It's 6 for Frankie Watson, and it's 3 for Travis Shaw. Quick rundown of the grid. It's Frankie Watson from Travis Shaw. That's the top 2. Goslavsky from Johnson, championship leader in 4th place. Bradley Curtis ahead of Taylor Tomlinson, returning on row 3. Archie Hooper taking actually a sensational podium back at Ella Park, looking to replicate that here today at Clay Pigeon. Riley Paisley is ahead of Isabel Wingate. Nicholas Dunwoody, the top 10. Harris Watson from Daisy Polden. Kai Hawken, Callum Maxwell are 7 row 14 rider field. Race number 1 of the Metrokit MiniGP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre, about to get itself underway very, very shortly. The anticipation is rising through the roof in one of the most competitive minibike championships, not only in the UK but potentially globally as well. These are the stars of the future, and they're about to get underway for their first race of the penultimate round of 2024. Final checks being made. Frankie Watson as eager as ever, but Travis Shaw taking 3 victories this season, including the inaugural run to kickstart the season back in Lid. It's eyes to the lights. Travis Shaw on the inside, Frankie Watson on pole. Lights on, lights off, let's go racing. Great launch there from the 64 of Goslavsky, 4 wide for the lead into turn 1. Goslavsky, Super Seb takes it, but sweeping around the outside is the championship leader, the 37 of Byron Johnson, through up from 4th place to take the lead through turn 2.
Man, oh man, 4 wide down into turn number 2. I'm surprised everyone's still on 2 wheels, to be honest. What a launch there from Goslavsky. Frankie Watson and Travis Shaw, both of them didn't get away particularly well, but there wasn't anything horrendous about it. This night, Goslavsky just launched it away at the lights, and then Byron Johnson swept around the outside to take the reward away from all of them. It will be Byron Johnson that leads the way on lap number 1. Goslavsky hot on his tail, and just behind them, the 4 of Travis Shaw as well. Bradley Curtis up in front of your pole sitter Frankie Watson as well. Into P4 he moves. So Frankie Watson, a disappointing opening lap to say the least, from pole down into P5. He'll be looking to try and improve there. Johnson went a little bit defensive into the hairpin, but didn't really need to. Goslavsky wasn't close enough on that occasion. Looks a lot closer there coming into the horseshoe. As it stands though, Johnson, it's not a comfortable lead, but it is a lead nonetheless. We'll make it 10 laps to go as they round top bend. And well, Johnson leads from Goslavsky, from Shaw, your top 3. Those 3 very, very tight together.
A poor qualifying from Byron Johnson's standard, so what do you do about it? You just send it off the start. Travis Shaw looking to the inside of turn 2 on Goslavsky there, but not quite close enough. Poles it to Frankie Watson down to 4th. Been a bit shaken up by the chaos that ensued on lap 1, it must be said, but setting the fastest lap and in a quick response. But look at that fight for the lead. Goslavsky forcing Johnson to pitch the bike in different places, forcing him to look over his shoulder into defence potentially. So Gazlowski is firmly in this fight for the lead. 10 laps left to go, make that 9 at the line, and we have comfortably got 4 riders, make that even 5. Bradley Curtis is not a million miles away either. If these guys continue to battle, we could have a sensational race ahead of us on what has already been a barnstorming kickstart to round number 6. 9 laps left to go. Johnson still leads.
He does indeed, but can he hold on? Because the 64 is having the ride of his life in the MiniGP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre. Frankie Watson, what a lap time that is. New lap record for the number 14, breaking the lap record set by Archie O'Brien 2 years ago by 0.5 of a second. A 39.019 for Watson, new lap record. He is flying after a disappointing start to the race in P4 currently, but he's very quickly as well, catching the back of the leaders. So I don't think it'll be too long before we see him maybe start to make some moves, as Travis Shaw had a little look to the inside of Sebastian Gazlowski there, decided against anything. And still the top 4 as they were, but suddenly Frankie Watson's found another gear, found some pace, got himself some confidence, and a lap record to beat.
Yeah, exactly that. Archie O'Brien, we spoke to him, he knew full well that Frankie Watson was going to get it this weekend. The pace that he's shown is staggering, and he's not beaten it by a little bit. He has smashed it by half a second. Frankie Watson, a star of the future, at the moment sat 4th, but certainly in the conversation for what could be a grandstand finale. Make sure you're tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Get everyone watching the next 7 laps of FAB-Racing. Travis Shaw so late on the brakes into turn 2. We saw that at the first hairpin actually at Rowra. Travis Shaw really brave on the brakes. It seems to be a strong point, but not quite enough going into that particular corner. Gazlowski getting the run out of the S's into the hairpin, but again, not quite enough. Byron Johnson just doing exactly what he needs to in order to stay ahead, but he's got 3 very competent riders, 3 podium sitters, 2 race winners directly behind him, wanting that gold.
4 of the finest young riders on these fair isles going to battle once again in the MiniGP 50. 6 laps left to go in race 1 of Clay Pigeon, and it is Johnson from Gazlowski, from Shaw, from Watson. You couldn't fit a cigarette paper between them. They're so close as they bomb down the back straight into the hairpin once again. At the inside goes Travis Shaw, and does he get 2 in one move? Travis Shaw from 3rd to 1st in one corner. What a move from the number 4 out of absolute nowhere. It was a great move on Gazlowski. Byron Johnson, I think, went a little bit deep into the corner, turned in, and suddenly there's another bike on the inside, had to sit up, and that's allowed Travis Shaw into the lead of the race. Unbelievable with 5 laps left to run.
What did I say about his braking performance? That young lad is so courageous, and that is the clinical moves that are needed to fight at the front. What a send it was. What a lead it's now that he's got, but he's got to hold it. It was a great move, but the race is far from over. The battle won, but the war not over yet. Travis Shaw from Byron Johnson, then Gazlowski, Frankie Watson in the conversation as well. It could go any which way for the MetroKit MiniGP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre. I hope you're all enjoying at home, because we certainly are in the commentary box. Frankie Watson, our pole sitter, searching and fighting tooth and nail to even get on the podium.
This is unbelievable action. If I'd have told you that this was going to happen in this race coming into this weekend, you'd say pinch you because you're dreaming. But currently Travis Shaw leads the way from Byron Johnson and Sebastian Gazlowski, with pole sitter Frankie Watson, despite the fastest lap, the lap record in fact. He's down in P4, just can't negotiate his way through as they make their way through some traffic. And it is super, super close. Of course, Frankie Watson, in fact, all of the top 4 have smashed the previous lap record, it must be said now, but it's just the fact that Frankie Watson was the fastest of the bunch as they continue to push round. 0.5 of a second quicker did Frankie Watson go. Unbelievable. There we see Travis Shaw still leading the way from Byron Johnson. Lots of traffic to negotiate with now. Of course, no blue flags in FAB-Racing. Got to make your own way through, and it can really cause some chaos and split the pack up. Looks like the front 2 have got through cleanly. Is everyone else behind them? No, Sebastian Gazlowski and Frankie Watson look like they've been held up by the traffic. So I think now we've got a 2-way fight for the lead between Shaw and Johnson.
Yeah, indeed so. Of course, these two doing battle a couple of weeks ago when we took to Rowra. and have stapled themselves at the front of the championship. This could be pivotal in that fight for P2 as well. Let's not forget Travis Shaw trying to close some ground on Frankie Watson, and in doing so is closing ground on Byron Johnson. We could have a three-way championship battle in a few weeks' time when we head to Ella Park. Let's not get ahead of ourselves though. A lap and a half left to run here at Clay Pigeon for race 1 of round 6. Travis Shaw and more bit of traffic to contend with Byron Johnson. This could open the door into the horseshoe, and it is another change for the lead thanks to the traffic. Travis Shaw had to sit the bike up, and through goes Johnson.
Now Goslavski's back in the mix though as the front two begin to fight, and more traffic to cause more chaos. Johnson had to lift off the throttle a little bit, just roll away, sit the bike up to not run into the back. That's maybe opened the door with Travis Shaw to the inside. Oh, not quite on that occasion, but he certainly thought about it down into Billy's Bend. And look at Goslavski right with them on this final lap of the race. Frankie Watson's dropped too far back in the traffic. It's 3 for the lead. Oh, almost losing the front there goes Travis Shaw on the number 4. Can anyone challenge Byron Johnson? Late in the day, he goes defensive into the horseshoe. Shaw looks a little bit too far back to try into top bend. It's going to have to be last chance saloon. Can he make anything happen? I don't think he will. It will be Byron Johnson, the championship leader, takes victory once again in the Mini GP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre. But my oh my, did he have to fight for that one. Respects shared between the 37 and the 4. Travis Shaw, what a ride he had as well. What a double overtake to get into the lead of the race. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite hold on as the championship leader swept back into the lead. But man, oh man, another brilliant race here at Clay Pigeon with Byron Johnson taking the victory from Travis Shaw in P2 and Sebastian Goslavski in P3. Frankie Watson was 4th with Bradley Curtis in P5. Taylor Tomlinson, on his return to the series, comes home in P6 with Archie Hooper in 7th, Risley Paisley in P8, Harris Watson 9th, and Nicholas Dunwoody rounding out our top 10. Daisy Poldham was 11th with Isabel Wingate in P12, Kai Hawke in 13th, and Callum Maxwell in P14. What a race for the Mini GP 50s, brought to you by King's Two Wheel Centre. They'll be back for 2 more races tomorrow. Let's hope, Zach Sweeney, they do some more of that.
Race 1 of Extreme 200s about to get themselves underway, and this is a championship as good as done. Wilson Dilks and his dominant stance this season. 10 wins coming into this round at Clay Pigeon. 12 podiums, 17 top 5s. The man is on fire. He's been the most consistent. He's attended every round, and he has showed up in terms of his performance. Wilson Dilks, all he needs to do is take the first lap, and he will be champion of 2024. Henry McCartney will take pole position. Wilson Dilks is alongside him. Archie O'Brien, who unfortunately won't be participating for the rest of the day, would line up third, but unfortunately after a crash earlier in qualifying will have to be taken to hospital. He's done his wrist and his leg. They're going to check him, and hopefully he's going to be okay for tomorrow. But Ross McIntyre, history could be made today.
It could be indeed. I mean, of course, we won't call it till the end of the race, but essentially Wilson Dilks, the second the lights go out, he is the champion of the Extreme 200s in 2024, joining the likes of Philip Sorombia down in P4 and also Sullivan Mounsey. But Henry McCartney starts in pole position with champion-elect Wilson Dilks in P2. Archie O'Brien will be starting third again. Hopefully we'll be seeing him tomorrow with British Talent Cup race winner Philip Soroviak. He's in 4th. Finley Polehill is 5th with Austin Johnson in P6. Harry Payne is 7th with Matthew Thomas in P8. Leo Caulfield starts 9th with the returning rapid Ronnie Harris, rounding out our top 10. Harley Baker is 11th with George Ackerman in 12th. Scott Dermott in 13th with Adabelle McCarthy in 14th. Lucy Curtis will be starting 15th, but similar to Archie O'Brien, taking a check-up in hospital. Hopefully we'll be seeing her tomorrow. And starting at P16 is Leo Solio. And that is our 14 bike grid, shall we say, for today in race number 1 of the Extreme 200s. Again, the second the lights go out, it is Wilson Dilks who takes the championship, because even if he's not classified in this one, no one can catch him. His gap is so big. But we'll call it at the end of the race anyway. just for convenience's sake, to not confuse things. But starting from P2, I'm sure he'd loved to win this one. His gap is too big. Even if he was DNF'd, he would still be champion. It's just ridiculous how good his race pace has been all season long. It is all eyes then to the lights in the Extreme 200s. It is lights out and we are underway. Great start there from Henry McCarthy, but Wilson Dilks keeping them true and honest down into Billy's Bend. But it will be McCarthy that takes the lead from Dilks in P2. Philip Sorobiak holds on to P3 as well. Quickly Polgar on the 199. Keep an eye on him. He is currently leading the race for the Vice Championship in the Extreme 200s. As through goes Wilson Dilks up the inside of Henry McCarthy, and up he goes into the lead. Lovely move on the brakes down into the hairpin. We know Wilson Dilks super strong on the brake, loves to use that rear brake and let the rear of the bike step out as well. Of course, sometimes it causes a bit of an issue when it's too hot, at least the brake's overheating. We saw around a brake failure at Rara some weeks ago, but the temperature has dropped down today here at Clay Pigeon, so I don't think he's in for any troubles like that today.
No, I don't think so. Wilson Dilks, on what will be history making, wants to do it with a win in what will be his 11th of the season if he's able to hang on to it. Henry McCarthy is there, less than 2/10 behind on that 31 machine. Finley Polehill dropping back ever so slightly, so the top two running away with things. We did expect the Metra kit to be slightly quicker than the Ovali 190 this weekend because of the nature of the track, but obviously one of our front-running Metra kit runners in Archie O'Brien hasn't been able to take to the start, so I don't think we'll really have a representative data to find out. Nonetheless, though, Wilson Dilks will continue to stretch his advantage potentially at the front. 10 laps left to go. Henry McCarthy searching for the gap, trying to find a way through to rob another victory off of Wilson Dilks. He's only lost 4 races this season. One of them, is a rider down there. Who is that? That could well be the 75 of Philip Sorobiak. He is down. Is he out?
Problems there for the British Talent Cup race winner a few weeks ago at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. What has happened to the Philip Sorobiak number 75 machine? I'm not sure if he's gone down or encountered an issue, because he's up on his feet and looks fine, and they're inspecting something on the bike with a roving marshal. So I'm wondering if it's an issue with the bike, but Sorobiak doesn't look too impressed. So, and through goes Henry McCarthy on Wilson Dilks back into the lead of the race. Lovely stuff there from Henry Mack on the 31 to slide back through. Looks like in this race, it's going to be down at the hairpin where they're going to be trading blows, because that's how Wilson Dilks got through on lap number 1. Now with 9 laps left to go, soon to be 8, Henry McCarthy's pulled the exact same manoeuvre and slid back into the lead. Awesome stuff from them as Finley Polehill rounds out our top 3 with Philip Sorobiak dropping out of the race, and Austin Johnson in P4. He's on a new Ovali 190 this weekend, looking to impress on his new bike. Let's see how he does as he gets used to the machinery at this circuit. I'm sure he'll slowly be building up the pace. But Henry McCarthy back in the lead. This time it was Wilson Dilks who wasn't able to move up the inside into the hairpin, but still pushing very hard.
He is indeed. This is a fight here. 47 of Matthew Thomas under pressure from Ronnie Harris, and also Harley Baker in a pursuit for 6th place. 7.5 laps left to go then of race 1 of round 6 for the Extreme 200 FAB-Racing Championship. Let's see what's in store. Of course, the 47 of Matthew Thomas showcasing some great talent in other avenues, not only of British minibike racing but FAB racing as well. A couple of top 5 finishes in the 50s and of course in the 70s over his very short career thus far. Still very young rider is the 47, and using the Extreme 200s as a bit of a training ground to refine his craft around the circuits. It's extra track time, which is invaluable for young riders because the experience is what they need to gain. So to run in 2 classes over the duration of a weekend is exactly what you need, because it's not like car driving where you can just jump on a sim and learn the track. You need to be on track in a bike.
Absolutely. Just want to bring our attention to some lap times. On the previous lap, Henry McCarthy, in an unprecedented event since the regulations changed a couple years ago, new Extreme 200 lap record. A 37.485 beats Charlie Nesbitt's 37.660. That is something that we have not seen at all, quite frankly, since they changed the regulations of the Extreme 200s a few years ago and narrowed the regulation limit down into what bikes are allowed to compete. So, wow, that's incredible for Henry McCarthy. We've literally never seen a single lap record broken since those new regulations are coming. So awesome stuff from Henry Mack in the lead of this race, but not comfortably. Wilson Dilks still with him with 5 laps left to go. And, well, they're still fighting very, very hard. The 31 holding the now champion 85 behind him as they encounter some traffic heading into the hairpin. That could be the number 36 of Leo Soliu, and now into the horseshoe as well. And a little bit deep there from Wilson Dilks. He had to compromise his entry a little bit because of the traffic, take a bit of a tighter line into the corner than he would have liked, and of course that just messes up his trajectory for the corner a little bit. So we'll drop back a little bit on this lap as it becomes 4 laps left to go at the line. But on that lap, well, as I say that, Wilson Dilks now has the lap record of 37.437. Only about 400s quicker than Henry McCarthy as well, as Henry McCarthy broke his own lap record. But man, oh man, these guys are pushing super, super hard out there and leaving it all out on the racetrack.
This will be the 4th Extreme 200 lap record that Wilson Dilks has taken in 2024. Marco Holt came incredibly close back at Ella Park with a 47.793, just 6 thousandths off Sullivan Mounsley's record set in 23. But since then, Wilson Dilks took one at Three Sisters, he took 2 at Rowra, and he's looking to take one here at Clay Pigeon as well. 3 laps left to run, and Wilson Dilks not only vying for the first championship winner of 2024, but also vying for race victory in the Extreme 200 class.
Pushing super, super hard as Wilson Dilks, but can he find his way through the imperious Henry McCarthy, who's doing everything in his power to hold the champion behind. The 31 doing an excellent job. Bit more traffic to contend with up in front, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. They're catching them in a pretty decent location. And as they come through, it'll now be 2 laps left to run. Can the champion Wilson Dilks find his way through Henry McCarthy, or can McCarthy hold on as they make their way into the S's? Gap seems to have opened up just a little bit. Wondering if Dilks is maybe just backing off ever so slightly. We know it's not as warm as it was earlier today, but it's still quite warm. And we know a track like Clay Pigeon here, it causes issues for tyre temperature and brake temperature. Tyre and brake wear very, very high here. We've seen Wilson Dilks run into brake issues before due to just how hard he likes to use them. So maybe it's time to back it off, just bring it home in one piece.
Exactly that. 1 lap left to go then. Henry McCarthy versus Wilson Dilks. He is going to be searching for it, of course. McCarthy trying to negotiate some lap traffic. That is going to slow him down slightly. Is that going to open the door for Wilson Dilks to find a way through? Lap records, of course, for the Extreme 200s has just been set. Wilson Dilks is smashing it. And in 2024, it has been a record-breaking season, quite literally, for that young lad who has gone from heights to heights. 3 corners left to go. Will he take the victory? I don't think so. That will go the way of Henry McCarthy. But in 2024, history has been made. A champion has been crowned. Wilson Dilks across the line is the first FAB-Racing champion of 2024, and he's done it in ceremonious fashion. He's off down at turn 1 after the race is concluded. What a way to celebrate the 85. It won't matter. He takes P2. He set a lap record on that final lap as well and becomes the Extreme 200 2024 champion of the UK.
Well, that's a bizarre way to celebrate a championship, isn't it? I wonder if Wilson just ran out of brakes or something as he came into the first corner, as he tries to get the bike restarted. I mean, I've seen, people doing knee slides and celebrating with the fans, but I'm not seeing someone crashing to celebrate before. Congratulations, Wilson Dilks. What a season it has been for that young man. The first championship, possibly of multiple, in 2024 in FAB-Racing for that young rider, and he has just been mighty all season long. A new lap record at the death as well. And just phenomenal from the number 85. As always, cool and collected from him. Not really said, well, I guess he's had a crash, or he's probably had his confidence knocked out a bit from him. But Henry McCarthy takes the victory. Your new champion, Wilson Dilks, finishes second, then crashes after the flag with Findlay Polehill rounding out the podium. Austin Johnson is in P4, with Harry Payne in P5 and Matthew Thomas in P6. Ronnie Harris finishes in 7th, with Harley Baker 8th, Leo Caulfield 9th, and George Ackerman in P10. Scott Dermott was 11th, with Adabelle McCarthy 12th, Leo Soyo in 13th. Unfortunately, we lost Philip Sorowiak, and R&G Bryan and Lucy Curtis did not start. Hopefully we'll be seeing them tomorrow, but as our riders get down into the holding area, and get celebrating with fans and paddock members alike. Wilson Dilks, maybe a little bit confidence knocked out of him after that crash, but he is your champion of 2024, and that is well deserved. Race number 1 in Moto Team coming up next, and it should be a very exciting one. Moto Team has been absolutely on fire in this season. One of the best Moto Team seasons of recent years. And while it's not the biggest Moto Team grid that we've seen today, the riders will head off out onto the track and get going out onto the grid. Will Howarth starts from pole position in the open class with Harrison O'Keefe in P2, Ben O'Keefe in P3 and Sean Whittaker in P4. They are all in the standard class. Madison Martley was 5th with Gary O'Keefe in P6 in the open. Guy Kite in 7th on the 666, making his return this weekend in standard, and Kieran Evans in P8 in the open class. That is your championship, or your grid, should I say, coming into this one. And the championship is very interesting heading into this round, because when you look at it and look at where people are, you see the likes of Will Howarth, who are doing a great job this season, but also you look at someone like Gary O'Keefe, who's doing phenomenally in the open class, just because he's consistently turning up. And sometimes you've just got to turn up and take the points, even if they're not race wins. Gary O'Keefe is putting himself maybe into championship contention. But the riders finding their way to the grid. The number 96, that monstrous bike that romped its way to the title in 2022. Will Howarth at the handlebars as well, ready to show what he can do with Harrison O'Keefe alongside in the standard class. Lee Cowles points to the lights. It is underway. Oh, goodness me. Harrison O'Keefe with a wheelie and then some as Will Howarth takes the lead away from the line. But everyone behind Harrison O'Keefe was delayed as the front wheel shot up into the air. So somehow, after that start, he's managed to hold on to P2 with Sean Whittaker having to get right out of the throttle to not run him over at the line. As we look at the gap that Will Howarth is already trying to build, of course, he is in the open class, one of only 3 open bikes out here today. His only competitor being Gary O'Keefe, who started in P5, and Kieran Evans, who started in P8. So it will be Will Howarth looking to take the overall victory with a pretty solid race here. But it will be, of course, Harrison O'Keefe who leads the way in the standard class, but Sean Whittaker is hot on his tail, and just behind him as well. Actually, I said that Ben O'Keefe's actually slid on through Sean Whittaker. So it's an O'Keefe 1-2 in the standard class. So awesome stuff. From then, of course, the family who went to FAB-Racing at the back end of last year, having never raced before, and have been improving, crashing out and creating media highlights in the process. And now they are championship contenders and looking to be race winners. It is Harrison O'Keefe and Ben O'Keefe from Sean Whittaker in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. They are 1, 2 and 3 in the standard class, as Will Howarth disappears up in the front, as you'd expect from Will Howarth on that number 96. Again, if you watched any of the 2022 season, he literally was doing last for first challenges for fun. That number 96 machine is just ridiculous, and Will Howarth pretty handy on it as well.
Yeah, he is. He's not doing too bad of a job, and of course we saw him earlier on the MiniMoto, so a bit of a jump to make in terms of adapting to a different bike, but if anyone can do it, Will Howarth most definitely can. 10 laps left to go, and it's the 2 O'Keefes, of course, leading the way in the standard class ahead of Sean Whittaker, championship leader, of course, coming into this round ahead of Team Acme Racing, who aren't here this weekend down south in Dorset. So this could be a huge turning point for Sean Whittaker, and he needs to turn up the wig ever so slightly, because some crucial points could be made here. If he's not going to wrap up the championship today or tomorrow, he could very well pretty much secure it when we take to Ella Park.
Absolutely. Real question is, are the 2 O'Keefes going to fight? We know when one of them makes a mistake, they get absolutely disowned and they have to sleep in the back of the van and sometimes have to walk home, as they told us back at Ella Park, or back at Three Sisters, should I say. But, obviously they're family, they're going to have some fun out there on the racetrack together. I'm sure they're going to race each other as hard as they possibly can. There, further back in the pack, more action. That is Guy Kite on the 666. Holding with Madison Martley on the 888. Let's hope that number doesn't bring any poor luck for Kai Kite. Currently running in P5, that's P4 in the standard class, and Madison Martley P6, P5 in the standard class. So they are fighting for points and position, not just overall position. It's all looking to the outside. There goes Madison Martley. That could be phenomenal if that is able to be pulled off, but unfortunately just can't get the drive out of top bend. And we'll have to settle back into that 5th place for the time being. Just behind them, Gary O'Keefe running P7 and P2 in the open class. Unfortunately, we've lost our other open class rider as well, Kieran Evans. He is down and out. If you're watching along and you ride in the Free Tech Championship, please come along at least to the season finale at Ella Park in a couple of weeks' time for Moto Team. We've had a lot of you guys here before, and you always add to the excitement, always spice up the fun, and you are more than welcome to join in.
Yeah, exactly. The more the merrier that take to the circuit, the more bikes that we can enjoy watching around. Moto Team really has been a sight of intrigue over the last couple of weeks. A slow start to the season, granted, particularly in the Opens, but it's really taken off as the year has unfolded to what is now some fantastically good racing at the moment. The two O'Keefes, of course, fighting for the standard. Watching this fight still between Guy Kite and Madison Martley for 5th. Gary O'Keefe as well in with a shout, but of course not for class position, but nonetheless is still for track position through the S's, and dancing their way through two slightly different lines. Maybe a slight mistake actually for the Triple Eight, just running slightly too wide going through, but nonetheless still great lap times being set. Of course, a podium when we took to Roura. The first race at Roura was a podium for Guy Kite, and you said about the 666 maybe bringing him some bad luck. Definitely has not in any stead, because he's been boasting some very strong mid-top 10 finishes, a string of 6 places through Ella Park, so has definitely scored the points when they matter, but none quite like that man right there, Will Howarth, in the open class. He took the first 2 victories at Lids. We saw him again at Three Sisters, where he took 2 second places, but couldn't quite topple Team SFCR, who's towed up on the day. We've not seen them since, and they dominated that weekend, but he's got the fastest lap of the race thus far, 42.006, a little bit away off of his 40.849 that he set back in 2019, but of course the Moto Team regulations have changed. It is ever so slightly slower, but with the machinery he's got, he's riding very well.
I mean, it's ever so slightly slower unless your name's Will Howarth, because that number 96, whenever it turns up, you just know it's going to take the overall victory, because it's the quickest bike with one of the quickest riders in the Fab Paddock on it. It is just absolutely unbelievable. As there we see Sean Whittaker up through Ben O'Keefe. Now Harrison O'Keefe trying to hold him off. These guys are all fighting for position in the standard class. These are the podium places. So in fact, they're all fighting for the win as they will begin their next lap. 4 to go for this group. Can Sean Whittaker slide his way through to try and get a victory here in race number 1 of the Moto Team? The clouds have very much come over, but it is still very humid, still very hot here in Dorset at Clay Pigeon. The riders, well, it's not the most physical track on the calendar. It is fast, and I'm sure they'll be working very, very hard underneath the helmet and levers. So we'll have to think about fatigue across this weekend as well, because I'm sure coming into race number 3, a few of them might be feeling a little bit tired. But right now, Harrison O'Keefe feeling awake and alive in the lead of the standard class race, doing a wonderful job despite a interesting start, shall we put it that way. Oh, there we see Madison Martley going through Guy Kite. Lovely move round the outside of the S's there from the 88. That was awesome from Madison Martley to slide up in front of the 666. That's for P4 in the standard class. And wow, that is awesome. Guy Kite, unfortunately, I think was almost caught unawares, in fact, by just where that move came from. You don't really expect many lunges coming in at the S's, but managed to slide it on through and take it. Awesome. As Will Howarth begins his penultimate lap there. There we see Madison Martley freshly up into P4, and there we see the number 63 of Gary O'Keefe currently running last out on track after we've lost Kieran Evans, but at the same time, there's only one other open team bike out on track, so he's still going to come home in second.
No, exactly that. Points at the end of the day for him. 2 laps left to go. As things stand, it's a Whittaker sandwich with O'Keefe bread either side of him in that fight for the standard lead. A lap and a half left to go. Will Howarth on the 96, still well poised for a dominant victory, 15.5 seconds clear of Harrison O'Keefe. Quite possibly could be one of the biggest winning margins, not only of this season, but also of the Moto team, and more importantly, of the Moto team class. I think the next, the only bigger one would have been the Green Streets at Lid, which was upwards of sort of, I think, 25, nearly 30 seconds for race 1 and 2 ahead of the rest of the pack. So apart from that, this is one of the biggest winning margins that we've had all season, and all he's got to do is bring it home.
Of course, Will Howarth hasn't been here every round either. He's picked and chosen, should I say, his when he likes to turn up. But when he does turn up, fireworks ensue, and he shows us what he can do out on a racetrack. Into the horseshoe for the very final time for the number 96. For him, this is just a casual Saturday afternoon ride. For everyone else, it is a performance sent from above. The number 96, once again, will take victory in the Moto team, both overall and in the open class. What a ride from Will Howarth as he cruises across the line, well off the throttle. He knows he has dominated that one, as right to the line. There goes Madison Martlew in P4 in the standard class. A few bits of lap traffic across the line first, but Harrison O'Keefe holds on to second, or the win in standard class, just 2 tenths ahead of Sean Whittaker in P2 and Ben O'Keefe in P3. Madison Martlew was P4 with Guy Kai in P5 in standard. Gary O'Keefe 7th on the road, 2nd in open. Our only other open runner, unfortunately, Kieran Evans, did not make it to the checkered flag. That's it for race 1 of the Moto team, and that is a statement victory there from Will Howarth as he crosses the line with a huge gap behind, 12.5 seconds. It was bigger, but he's just decided to cruise across the line, and he will sit very happily behind that number 1 ball, which is being meticulously placed in perfect position by Pit Bike Sonic and Crocs. So take from that what you will. But Will Howarth...
Fresh crepes, mate.
Yeah, fresh crepes. But Will Howarth, what a performance from him once again. Every time he turns up, he just whips something like this out of his back pocket.
Yeah, exactly that. Jamie King, of course, having a quick chat with him. Very well done for Will Howarth. Just getting the pictures, obviously, for all the socials. But the Moto team will be back tomorrow for race 2 and 3. Race 1 of Mini F1 sidecars about to get itself underway, and what a sight of intrigue this could well be in 2024. The two tyrants of the championship in the form of Greenstreet and Williams have now got a contender of the 44 of Mick and Danny Lee. We could have a 3-way contest, not only this weekend, but for the championship as well. Trading wins all season long have been the top 3 until Mick and Danny, well, the top 2 were trading wins all season long until Mick and Danny Lee showed up on the scene with a victory at the final race of Rara. They were on the podium for every single event since Three Sisters. They finished on the podium at every single event since they started this season at Three Sisters. The performance that they've gotten out of that 44 bike has been sensational. Coming into this though, 26 points between the 90 and the 26. 6 races of Mini F1 sidecars left to go in 24. Will it go the way of the Green Streets, or will it be another title on the way of Williams?
We'll wait and see. Mick Williams in the 26 start on pole position with Jason and Leo Greenstreet alongside. Mick Lee is 3rd on the 44, just 2 tenths off of the almost identical lap times set by the front pair with Chris Impey in P4. Jamie Alexander and Isaac Greenstreet on the number 11 started 5th, with Mark Parker in the 230 starting 6th. The Hoskermobile of John Hosker, the 127, starts 7th with Vince Bailey and Amy Tilbrook on the 369 in P8. Almost a full house. 8 out of the 9 sidecar outfits that we've had enter this season here this weekend, and well, this should be a very interesting race. The qualifying times from the top 3, nothing separating them. This should be very, very interesting.
We've had complete continuity though from Rowra. Everyone that joined us at Rowra is here once again for Clay Pigeon, so taking a nice step across, not only from the very north of England but also to the very south as well. Race number 1 of round 6 for the Mini F1 sidecars. Mick Williams alongside Jason and Leah Greenstreet, but do not count out that 44 as well. The championship comes down to the final 6 races, and this could be a pivotal moment. It's eyes to the lights for race 1 of Saturday. Let's get racing. Mick Williams gets away really well from pole position and assumes an early lead, and they settle into 1-2-3 fashion at the front, through into turn number 2 for the first time, and the Green Street's trying to launch an early challenge. No way through turn 2 as Mick Williams slams the door into the S's, and it's line astern from the top 3. The 457 as well of Chris Impey is able to hold station and keep his way inside the top 5ers. Then the 230 of Mark Parker is able to stay inside the top 5, but a great start from Mick Williams. As we expected, this is his hunting ground.
Great launch there from the 26. So the circuit that on paper their sidecar should prefer to the number 90. The lead is exactly what they wanted, but Jason and Leo Green Street, they're not going anywhere just yet, and the 44 of Mick Lee right on the 2 sidecars' tails. And I tell you what, Chris Impey on the 457, not too far back either as they come across the line, but it is Mick Williams that leads the way. But to the inside comes Jason and Leo Green Street. Awesome stuff from them up the inside at Big Bend. And through they go. So it's not just done and dusted for Mick Williams. He's going to have to work for it.
He is indeed. The Green Streets are going to be firing back on all cylinders. And of course, track position of vital importance around a circuit like Clay Pigeon. Not many places to get the move done, but Mick Williams is now on the back foot. The Green Streets have established control. 8 laps left to run. Fantastic lap time has been put in, it must be said as well, from Mick Williams that last time by. So Green Streets will be slightly quicker this time through as they break the beam to start the 7th to last lap. Mick Lee actually on that last time by was matching the Green Streets and so much quicker than Williams. A small mistake through turn 2 and the 44 is closed up tremendously.
Yeah, this could be a big opportunity for the 44 of Mick Lee as they come through the S's and onto the back straight. Of course, we've seen a history of collisions, shall we say, between the number 90 and the number 26. And I'm sure the 44 will be hoping that history repeats itself here at Clay Pigeon, because if those two come together and have issues, then it's open season for them to come home and take their 2nd win in a row, their 2nd race victory of the season. Unable to capitalise on that mistake from Mick Williams on that occasion, though, but still on the back of the leading pair, still keeping them very honest, if not quite within attacking distance, as the Green Streets hold on to that lead. 6 laps left to go as they head into Billy's Bend once again, working their way round and now into the S's. Oh, Mick Williams looking super aggressive on the brakes, getting super close to the back of the number 90. Can't quite get the drive down into the hairpin, though, as the 90 squeezes them out. But after a few mistakes that we've seen, the 26 is right on the back of the Green Streets, maybe going to try and force their way through, Zach.
Yeah, nose to tail. Mick Williams is not leaving anything on the table at all. Still half the race left to run for the penultimate race of the day, and there could well be the gap. The Green Streets nearly left it wide open, and Mick Williams breathing it down at their neck. The 44 not a million miles away either. We could well see another titanic battle for the lead. 5 to go, and the Green Streets seem to be in control. They've got it covered for now.
For now. But for how long? 5 laps, 4.5 really left to run. The 44 still there with them as well. Another fastest last lap from the 44, 45.127. Mick Lee running really well at the moment here at race 1 in Clay Pigeon. Look how good the 26 is through the hairpin horseshoe section there. They close right up to the back of the number 90. It just seems that in the faster corners, that's where the Green Streets starting to edge away a little bit once again as the gap continues to fluctuate. We've seen all across this season Mick Williams getting a little bit sideways through some of the bigger corners while the 90 looks so stable. But on the brakes, Mick Williams in a class of his own out there today. 4 left to run in race number 1 of the Mini F1 sidecars. The number 90 once again facing real pressure from Mick Williams under the brakes. Get onto the straight, get a little bit safer as they head into the hairpin. Let's see how close the 26 gets this time. Once again, almost pushing the number 90, now they go defensive. So the 90 now starting to take defensive action from Mick Williams to try and keep him behind. This is now going to cost them even more time. Perversely, sometimes defending is the wrong thing to do, because sometimes it loses you too much time and you get overtaken anyway.
Yeah, the race is only ever going to be in front of you. You need to focus in. You just need to look out your visor. I know it sounds obvious, and just focus as best you can. Stop worrying about what's behind you. The track is only going to be in front of you. Just focus on hitting that next apex, and then the apex after that. Try and hit them as they come. Try and just ride as quickly as you can, and you won't even need to defend. The moment moment you look behind you is the moment you give them the high ground. 2.5 laps left to run, and Mick Williams, even though they're behind, you could argue have got the psychological measure over the green streets.
It's almost like he's bum drafted him, NASCAR style. This is awesomely close between the front pair. But Mick Williams just doesn't quite have enough to launch an attack at the moment on the green streets. The 44's still there, waiting patiently in the background. Championship-wise, this opens the gap up to 31 points in the green streets' favour. It is very, very close, and while mathematically it could end this weekend if Mick Williams was to have just an absolute disaster of a time and the green streets wraps up all 3 races, chances are, knowing the Mini F1 sidecars this season, this is going down to the final race in the final round. The green streets, though, holding on for the time being as Mick Williams once again looks inside, looks outside, cannot find a single place to go around the number 90. But the racing, very clean, very, very respectful so far as they round top bend for the penultimate time. Last lap of the race, the green streets lead the 26. Can Mick Williams find a way through?
Let's find out. Of course, there's a 10-point swing potential in the championship. It either ends on a 31-point gap or a 21-point gap. Virtually matched that last time by 12 thousandths of a second in terms of the lap time set. New personal best from both, but a new fastest lap of the race set by Mick Williams. A 45.032. Half a lap left to run, and the 26 wants to close the gap in the championship and bring it less than a race victory. The 90 is positioning the bike in such a way, though, that just makes it near on impossible. Look how much bigger that 90 is compared to the 26. They just muscled their way through and have not looked back since. One more corner left to go for the green streets, who fell back at Raura, but now they're fighting back. They tick off their potentially 9th victory of the season. They tick it off in sensational fashion. The 14th time they've stood on the podium as well. The 9th time they've taken to the top step in 2024. And once again, it's Jason and Leo Greenstreet.
Unreal stuff, as always, in the Mini F1 sidecars. Jason and Leo Greenstreet slide on through to take another win this year and extend their championship lead, if only slightly, from the 26 of Mick Williams. The 44 completes the podium as well to continue their incredible run of results. A podium in every race they've entered this season. But man, oh man, the Greenstreets, they withstood a lot of pressure in that one, and they did perfectly. The 90 of Jason and Leo Greenstreet take the victory, with Mick Williams on the 26 in P2. The 44 of Mick Lee rounds out the podium, with Chris Impey and Dave Caves on the 457 in 4th. Jamie Alexander and Isaac Greenstreet bring it home in P5 on the 11, with Mark Parker on the 230 in 6th. John Hosker on the 127 in 7th, and Vince Bailey on the 369, while with Amy Tilbrook in P8. That's it for the Mini F1 sidecars today. But of course, they'll be back tomorrow for more action in races 2 and 3. It is time then for the Premier Class, race number 1 coming up in the LS2 helmets, Mini GP 70 British Championship here at Clay Pigeon, round number 6 of the 2024 season. Time is running out this year, and well, we've got some drama before the racing even gets underway, as Archie O'Brien and Lucy Curtis will not be starting race number 1 after crashes in qualifying. They've gone to hospitals for checkups to make sure that they are fit to race in races 2 and 3. Hopefully we'll see them tomorrow, but especially for Archie O'Brien, second in the championship, 45 points back from Wilson Dilks. He needed a strong weekend. He came in so confident, and one little mistake, and that could potentially be it for the rest of the weekend. A disastrous start for him.
It doesn't take much for it to go drastically wrong for one rider. Coming into this, Dilks needed to outscore Archie O'Brien by 31 points to be secure into Ella Park. If Wilson Dilks wins this race, he's done 25 of those in the first race of the weekend. That is huge. And then all he needs to do is finish ahead of Archie O'Brien for the rest of the weekend, and the championship is done. Of course, Byron Johnson is still technically, mathematically possible for the championship. So Wilson Dilks also needs to outscore Johnson by 8 points this weekend. A slightly easier task to knock him out of contention for the 75-point gap needed to secure Ella Park. But Wilson Dilks, off the back of the Extreme 200 Championship he's just won, he came off at the first corner. Do you reckon that's going to knock his confidence coming into this one? Different bike as well.
Yeah, well, time will tell. Archie O'Brien would be starting on pole, but unfortunately, with his absence, it leaves Wilson Dilks, the lone man, on the front row. Finley Polehill starts P3 with Byron Johnson in P4. Harry Payne is 5th with Travis Shaw in 6th. Matthew Thomas and Frankie Watson along row 4 with Taylor Tomlinson and George Ackerman rounding out our top 10. Beth Ashby is 11th and would be starting alongside Lucy Curtis, with Riley Paisley in P13 and Harris Watson 14th, and rounding out our grid here at Clay Pigeon. So only 12 riders out there and what would be a 14-rider grid. Hopefully it's 14 riders tomorrow. But what an opportunity this is for Wilson Dilks. He could massively extend his gap over Archie O'Brien, Byron Johnson, Harrison Day and the like. This is an opportunity for Byron Johnson to leapfrog Archie O'Brien, put himself in a vice-championship position. And is there someone else missing on the grid? It looks like maybe. No, I think my eyes are just deceiving me. Clearly, I'm not sure what's going on here, but as we get ready to go racing, Wilson Dilks alone on the front row, a champion in the Extreme 200s. Is he now the champion-elect? It is lights out and we are underway. Great start there from Finley Polehill. Is he able to challenge Wilson Dilks into turn 1? No, not quite. And it will drop back to P3 as well as Byron Johnson slides around the outside. Wilson Dilks maintains the lead after starting from P2. The lone rider on the front row. Looking to the outside goes Byron Johnson, looking very racy. Is number 37. Maybe he fancies a race when he looks to the inside. Sliding on through goes Byron Johnson with a lovely move at the horseshoe to get into the lead of the race. Can Wilson Dilks respond? Finley Polehill right behind them as well on the number 99. Harry Payne also in the conversation. As we finish lap 1, Byron Johnson leads.
What a move that was, but Wilson Dilks immediately on the counter-attack into turn 2. Not quite close enough there, but as the gap opens up into the horseshoe, he saw it on the inside and seized his moment. Beautifully done from the 37, but there's a long race left ahead of him. 11 laps left to run. The 85 immediately responds to the inside of the first hairpin. Byron Johnson unable to get back underneath. Look there as well, Harry Payne contending for the podium. We've got 4, maybe 5 bikes in a train for the lead of this race. Wilson Dilks back ahead.
Awesome stuff there from Wilson Dilks to retake the lead of this race. But it's not over yet. 10 laps left to go at the line. And we see the likes of Johnson, Polehill, Payne all right there with him. Matthew Thomas, Travis Shaw also not far behind in P5 and P6 as Beth Ashby moving up to P8 there. Great start from Beth in the opening couple of laps to move herself further up in the points paying positions. Was under a little bit of pressure there. Here's Byron Johnson. Nothing came of it, but the 99 of Finley Polehill looking very racy this weekend. Of course, took his first win of the season back in Rowra, race number 1 of round 5 in that double-header weekend. And clearly hungry for a few more as they cross the line once again. Wilson Dilks starting to extend the gap ever so slightly. The track has got a little bit cooler, I believe. We are lapping quickly, but not quite on lap record pace. But it's getting closer and closer. Wilson Dilks that last lap of 38.037, with that last lap of 38.275 from Byron Johnson, so still keeping the 85 honest.
Yeah, exactly that. He's there. He's in the conversation. Any small mistake from Wilson Dilks, and it could well be at race defining. 2/10 is the pace differential from Wilson Dilks to that record set by Ethan Sparks. Last time we were at Clay Pigeon. Has he improved that last time by? He's got it even closer. Byron Johnson with the fastest lap of the race, about a 10th off. 99 thousandths of a second off the lap record set by Ethan Sparks. Not much in it at all. And that 37, he got his first Metric Hit 70 win at Rowra, and you become addicted. He's hungry for more. He wants it again. But he's got to topple the favourite for the championship. Already a 2024 champion is Wilson Dilks. It's not an easy task, and he's got to work for it.
Off of the racetrack, Byron Johnson, he's such, a shy, quiet kid, and he, likes to just hide in the motorhome and doesn't like to come out and speak to anyone. But when he's on the racetrack, he is an absolute animal and will do anything to get on the top step of the podium. Fastest lap last time, Finley Polehill, 37.883. That is so close to the lap record. hundredths away from it. These top three are pushing each other lap after lap after lap, getting quicker. With every bend, every turn, every twist of this race. And there is nothing separating the three podium places. Dilks from Johnson, from Polehill, all of them neck and neck as they come to the line. Once again, all of them pushing harder each and every lap. With 6 laps left to go though, Dilks holding on for the moment.
All three of them have taken to the top step of the podium thus far this season. It's 10 for Dilks, it's 2 for Johnson, it's 1 for Polehill, and each and every single one of them wants to add another to their cabinet, wants to add another to their tally. Wilson Dilks is in good stead to do it on this occasion, and it could well be championship defining if he's able to open that gap up to Archie O'Brien and of course to Byron Johnson. He needs an 8-point differential this round gained on Byron Johnson to win the championship, while also finishing 31 points ahead of Archie O'Brien. With O'Brien's potential absence from this weekend, it could be championship defining for the LS2 Helmets MiniGP 70 class. Could he do 2 titles in one weekend?
Well, that would be simply incredible, of course. If he leaves this weekend with a 75-point gap in his favour to whoever is in second, at the moment, of course, Archie O'Brien, then he is the champion. Right now, gap's at 45 points back to O'Brien. Of course, a bit of traffic they're having to negotiate their way through there. He's getting a free 25 points in O'Brien if they finish as they are. So that puts him on 70 points. If O'Brien's not here for the rest of the weekend, then Byron Johnson becomes his main challenger. And then, well, who knows what's going to happen as Johnson looks to the inside. Finley Polehill looks like he got a little bit unseated coming through turn number 1, but was able to stay on the bike. 4 laps left to run. Dilks from Johnson from Polehill, still your top 3. Oh! Beth Ashby down in the middle of the circuit, luckily up on her feet. Glad to see that she is okay, but yellow flags are out. That's coming through the horseshoe, I believe. And indeed it is. So Ashby, I think, has lost the front on the exit of the horseshoe, but she's up and she is okay. But yeah, yellow flags out, waving there. So no overtaking through the latter stage of the track. 3 laps left to run still, and it is super tight out there.
It is indeed. Byron Johnson all over the back of Wilson Dilks. There's not much to separate them at all, but it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to stay with, it's another thing to overtake, and then it's another thing on top of all of that to stay in front once you've done it. Time is of the essence for both Johnson and Polehill if they want to topple the champion. The 37 looks to the inside of the horseshoe, but no way through, but Dilks gives him the space. That could be the show of his hand that he needed in order to attack Wilson Dilks, because now Dilks is going to be wary. He knows he's there, he knows that he needs to be on his toes. 2 laps left to run. What can Johnson do?
Just start piling the pressure on. That's all Byron needs to do, to maybe force Dilks into a little mistake, or maybe give him a little bit of breathing room. You know, Wilson Dilks, on the one hand, you could argue he should be thinking about the championship. Archie O'Brien isn't here. There's no point trying to race hard when your main rival is potentially out for the weekend with an injury, at least out in race number 1. No, he may as well just pick up solid points, bring it home, and, you know, have a very comfortable gap heading into the final round of the season. But it's Wilson Dilks. He's going to race for the win every single time. 1 more lap to go here in the LS2 Helmets MiniGP 70s British Championship, and it is still Dilks, Johnson, Polehill, your top 3. Can anyone change that on the final lap?
Let's find out. Of course, Dilks, he needs to beat Byron Johnson this weekend as well, because right now Johnson is only going to be 2 points behind Archie O'Brien out of this race if he stays in second place. So it's not just O'Brien he has to beat, it's whoever ends this weekend in second place. So Dilks needs to win this race. He's done it 10 times already. Can he make it 11? He's got 2 corners left to go. Wilson Dilks, on what is already a historic weekend for that young man's career, rounds the final corner, and for the 11th time in 2024 for the LS2 Helmets MiniGP 70 class, he is victorious. The 85 stretches the gap in the championship and puts one hand on the 2024 trophy. Byron Johnson, Finley Polehill, once again completing the podium. What a race that was, and what a way to end Saturday.
Well, Wilson Dilks, of course, has a big wheelie there from Byron Johnson in celebration. Well, of course, he would be the first to admit he doesn't want that championship to be decided by an injury. If Archie O'Brien is out for the remainder of the weekend, he has still put in a stomping performance to show that he is still the man to beat in 2024. Wilson Dilks, a great win, and puts him within touching distance of the 2024 championship. Byron Johnson finishes second with Finlay Polhill in P3. Harry Payne was fourth with Travis Shaw in P5. Matthew Thomas in P6 with Taylor Tomlinson seventh. George Ackerman was eighth with Riley Paisley ninth, and Harris Watson rounding out our top 10. Beth Ashby was classified but did go down at the end of that race, so finished in P11. Unfortunately, we lost Frankie Watson, and Arch O'Brien and Lucy Curtis did not start this race. That's it then for race 1 of the LS2 Helmets MiniGP 70 British Championship here at round 6 in Clay Pigeon, and that could be a race that may have just decided the title in Wilson Dilks' favour.
Exactly that. What a race it was, and Wilson Dilks, he's had to work hard for it. It's a shame that Archie O'Brien isn't here, because he was on pole and he's searching still for that inaugural victory of 2024, and we knew that this weekend was probably going to be his best chance to do it. Unfortunately, that small mistake could well have cost him. Hopefully he's fighting fit and ready to go for 2 opportunities at it tomorrow, but Wilson Dilks, and that young man has just been so unstoppable. If he's finished a race, he's done it on the podium in this class, and what a season it's been for 2024.
Well, that's today's action all done and dusted then at round 6 of the 2024 FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship. We've had some fantastic racing. We've seen a championship decided already, and 2 that are very much within touching distance as well. So maybe a few more to fall tomorrow. Of course, 75 points is the gap that you want at the end of race number 3, heading into the final round at Ella Park in a few weeks' time. Of course, Zach, 2 more races to come tomorrow. Should be a good one. So then, until next time.
Diesel.